It is funny because like these are the chapters I think I get excited about because I want to see if we're right.
I know.
Their answers.
Yeah.
I want to know, did we get any of them right?
The Horcrux chapter was one of the chapters that you figured out if you were right or not.
Mm-hmm.
I know. We were close-ish.
Jen, you said on this podcast,
I did?
which everyone went nuts about, you said maybe a Horcrux is like, maybe when Dumbledore, or maybe when Voldemort died, he sprout out his aura and he put his aura in certain objects.
I said that?
You
Yes.
said, I will pull up the quote.
Yes.
I could
So
not.
we were talking about it over the weekend, and you brought it up, and you were like, "I was close," and I just bit my tongue because I was like, "I don't want to react here. I want you to react here."
Chat was going nuts. You didn't even remember you saying that? Come on.
No,
That was,
wait,
well,
when
I
was-
guess you don't remember it because it's like hard to, you don't like recognize it. But in
It
the
was
moment,
like one of the many theories.
yeah.
You just
In the
wrote.
moment,
yeah.
I was sweating. People in chat were going
That's so
nuts. Kristen
You
was texting
hide
me
it
saying,
so
"Are you
good."
kidding me right now?" All behind the scenes stuff is like you don't see it, but
That is great.
that was so
Yeah, because like
nuts.
you guys hide it very well, so I don't
Yeah.
know. So that's when you're just throwing out theories and
Yeah,
you're just
yeah.
like, I don't know. So nothing. That's
It's
why it's
not
not
sticking.
memorable either.
Yeah,
Because I'm
yeah.
like, well, maybe it's this.
That was
Did you
so
remember
funny.
that? Me saying that?
I remember you said pieces of himself one time.
Whoa.
Because then that was one of the things that was in my mind too. I was like, oh, all right, well, that's a good idea. Could be pieces of himself. And then that was mixed in with all the other theories. So,
But it's
yeah.
funny because if we went on that theory, then we would have known where Dumbledore was going.
know.
All this stuff.
Right,
I was
right.
like, oh man.
But
Could
if
have
you guys
answered
follow-
it differently.
Yeah, if you follow all your theories ad nauseum, you'd be here for 5 hours, 6
So
hours,
true.
And
7
you would
hours.
love it.
The entire day. That would be like my
Sounds
dream
great.
come true. But
And he would never let us leave.
yeah. I'm locking the doors.
it's theory time.
But you guys seem to like these chapters, though. You guys were texting about it. These chapters are good.
Oh,
Getting some
yeah.
answers.
They were great.
I always love answered chapters.
Getting some answers, leaving some more unanswered questions, giving us some more questions.
Yes, good. The whole the spell he tried on Malfoy was interesting. Yikes.
Bold move,
Mm.
Harry.
I'm glad he tried on
Sloppy.
Malfoy, not on someone else.
It did not give him a deviated septum. It
Yeah.
literally cut him.
Oh wait,
in
yeah,
half.
wait. What did I say? Loser voice.
Yeah, that was a great one. You said lose your voice, and instead of fixing your deviated septum, it gives you a deviated septum.
Oof.
It just cuts you deep.
All right,
Really
so-
deep just then.
This is an important conversation that we need to have.
Okay.
I want to get what you guys fully understand about this, but what is a Horcrux?
Horcrux.
This is like an English quiz in high school.
It is an
Define
object that you can take. Oh, well, yeah, let's see if I understand it. It sounds like it's an object that usually is a meaningful object to someone. And if they were to murder someone, they could split their soul and put it into this object, and it helps them not prolong life. Like they could split their soul and have a double soul,
Mhm.
so that way they can't die.
Yes.
Is my understanding.
Perfect. And Voldemort did, what was the difference with Voldemort?
He
wanted
wanted
to
to
do
do
it
multiple
7
ones
times.
because 7 is a magic number that's meaningful in the wizarding world. So 7 would. He asked what if you did 7 times, and he had to kill 7 people.
Yeah.
I would think. But I thought he killed way more than 7 people. So for me, I was like, is it a certain, or is it he killed people through other people? So it's not really him killing. But it just seemed weird because I was like, I feel like he killed more than 7 people, but it was only significant. Like only certain people are important or powerful enough for it to split his soul.
Mm-hmm.
Because
No.
he definitely killed more than 7
Yeah,
people.
he killed more than 7 people, but I think
or it's
it was
intentionally.
probably some of the first 7 people that he killed, and then after that he might have killed more people.
Hmm.
Actually, because
'Cause
it was
just-
it was probably in between. He probably killed a few people in between, and just maybe the more meaningful
That's what I was trying
people
to get
that he
at.
killed
Is
were the
that
ones
what
that he
it's
turned into
for?
Horcruxes.
Hmm.
Or he didn't turn them into Horcruxes.
Because then
but he,
Harry Potter's kill was supposed to be the 6th one or something.
I don't know if we
Fifth?
know which one.
I thought Dumbledore said it, but I
Well,
don't take
that'd be
notes.
good because I was kind of wondering that too. Like what order he got to. I was thinking when he got to Harry, was that the last one or was it the second one? You know, like did he only have one Horcrux and then that's what kept him alive? Because he said he was farther along the path to immortality, but I was like, does that mean he had all 7? Or was he just on that path?
but
He
you
had
think
3,
he created
5,
some
whatever.
after he resurrected again?
That's what I was thinking. Like
Gotcha.
when I read it, my initial thought was he got 2 or 3 or 4, and then Harry was one of them, or one of the Potters was one of them.
I thought it was in here.
And that was
I
going
could be
to be
wrong.
the next one, but then he was going to continue for a few more. So I just couldn't tell if he had gotten them all yet, but I didn't think he did. But definitely hard to tell.
Do you think that he actually achieved the 7 Horcruxes?
I'm not even convinced he achieved it now. And then also, even if he did, Dumbledore's destroyed a few. So then I was like, can he keep making them? Would he want to keep it at 7? But then, like Dumbledore said, he might not know that they've been destroyed. But
So-
Dumbledore destroyed just the ring, right? Or maybe one more. I'm forgetting how many it was.
So yeah, we'll kind of go over some of that as
when we get
hit
to
the
it.
podcast when we get to it. But Dumbledore seems to, again, one of the big things is, do we not trust Dumbledore? Does he have sufficient knowledge and understanding of what's going on where he is telling us the correct things in this chapter? Like, you have been a natural skeptic of some of the things that Dumbledore has said, even through the memory. Like, you're like, is this actually true? Did he collect the actual true and right memory? And now he's regurgitating things to Harry, but I think the question is still, are the things that Dumbledore is saying to Harry, is he collecting this from surety? Like, he knows this for sure without a shadow of a doubt? Or is it guesswork? And it's kind of his best guess, and it's Dumbledore, so he's like, probably right, but you just don't know. So Dumbledore seems to think that he had created 6 Horcruxes, and we'll kind
And
of
he
talk
is
about
the 7th? Is that what
and
that
who's
was?
he?
His soul is in 7 parts.
Yeah,
Him and 6
yeah.
Horcruxes.
That's what that was the line that he had before, where he kind of thinks that, his person is the 7th, not really a Horcrux, but he's like alive, so
But
he has, like,
alive,
6
his
more
soul.
remaining.
Yeah, right.
And we'll talk about the destruction of all those things as we get there, because we'll kind of like hit those as we hit the chapter. But Jen's studying the text over there.
I needed
This
to.
never happened.
I know, because I want to know if I'm right.
I have so many questions about this. We're just going to jump into the podcast right now because this could be a long few chapters. So welcome to the podcast. I'm John,
Jen.
Danny?
And Kristen.
and this is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. All right, everyone, I'm just going to give a short intro for this one because this is a very, very long podcast already. But these were great chapters, so much fun discussion in them. But follow us on all social, obviously our Instagram, our website, our email, our Twitter. It's pretty much all first-time readers. Go join us on Reddit, and we have a Discord now. We have a bunch of stuff. We have a Patreon. Go subscribe to us on YouTube, all the typical stuff. But we are slowly putting together a merch shop as well. So sweatshirts, all that kind of stuff. So you can find that as probably in between these books. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to redo some of the intros early in the podcast. So if anybody wants to buy any merch, they can. And yeah, that's all I have because this is a very long episode. So I'm going to wrap it up and say enjoy these chapters 23 to 25 of Half-Blood Prince.
So much meat in these chapters.
There is so much meat in these chapters. Okay, so I'm going to read a few different lines, and then we're just going to have a full-on discussion of these because there is a lot in here. This is one of the first lines that we get in this. So he collects a memory, and this is the first line. "Good gracious, Harry," said Dumbledore in surprise. "To what do I owe this very late pleasure?" "Sir, I've got it. I've got the memory from Slughorn." Harry pulled out the tiny glass bottle and showed it to Dumbledore. For a moment or two, the headmaster looked stunned. Then his face split into a wide smile. "Harry, this is spectacular news. Very well done indeed. I knew you could do it. Later, this is the line that we have in the memory itself. Well, said Slughorn, not looking at Riddle, but finding with the ribbon on top of his box of crystallized pineapple. Well, it can't hurt to give you an overview, of course, just so that you understand them. A Horcrux is the word used for an object in which a person has concealed part of their soul. I don't quite understand how that works, though, sir, said Riddle. His voice was carefully controlled, but Harry could sense his excitement. Well, you split your soul, you see, said Slughorn, and hide part of it in an object outside the body. Then, even if one's body is attacked or destroyed, one cannot die, for part of the soul remains earthbound and undamaged. But of course, existence in such a form... Then Peter's off. What do you guys think of Horcruxes as a magical object?
We don't know a lot.
What do I think of?
Yeah, what do you think of them?
Danny, you can play devil's advocate and say they're good.
It seems like it's like dark magic, right? That's hidden from the books in Hogwarts.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows that much about it. And it's about killing some, like, in order to retain this, you have to kill someone. So, I don't know. Like, how did they even figure this out? Who's the founder of this and passed it along and, like, figured out? And is that person important? I know. Are they still alive? Did they put their body somewhere? Or their soul? It did say
Dumbledore was very against it. I think somewhere in here it said he didn't want it anywhere in Hogwarts.
Yeah, Slughorn says that he wouldn't find it in any of the books in the library because Dumbledore wouldn't want that at all. What do you think about Dumbledore censoring reading?
I don't know.
I think it's fine.
I'm not a big fan of the censoring because especially if you do it poorly, it makes people want to know even more because then it's a secret. So you could accidentally make it even more of like, well, we talked about lore last time. It could become even more secretive and powerful if other people don't know how it's done. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a really weird one. Now I'm looking back at everything we read so far, trying to figure out if Horcruxes have been involved without us knowing.
Great question. Have we seen any before? Yeah.
Well, it has power, which is what they're saying. But I also... oh, no, because Dumbledore was trying to undo the curse on the ring, which is when he blackened. His hand got black. Because I was like, is it when you touch something... Or I guess it depends what curse is on it to protect it, maybe. That's
right.
what it is.
Yeah, I think it would.
Katie Bell or whatever. Is that Katie? Is that
Katie Bell? Yeah.
Like, was hers a Horcrux? Or was it just a cursed necklace?
Okay, that's an interesting question. What is...
that you're not going to answer?
No, I'm going to make you guys answer.
Obviously.
What would the arguments for that being a Horcrux and what would the arguments against it being a Horcrux? Like, and then even on Danny's point, search back through this book, all the books. Has there been any mention of Horcruxes at all that we just haven't seen?
Well, the diary, but that was somewhat not obvious, but like there was something going on there that was different.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's it.
Yeah. It's just ancient magical things now.
What?
Ancient magic things, right?
Oh, yeah.
They now are red flags for us because we're like, ooh, that could be a Horcrux. So, yeah, it's just interesting because then we have to wonder if the Sword of Gryffindor could be, if the
Dumbledore doesn't think it could be.
But that's one of those things too where I read Dumbledore's stuff more skeptical than most would, and I think a lot of this was guesswork, and almost to the point of being inconsistent. Dumbledore called this memory the most important memory.
Why?
I don't know.
Because he got a number there. He got a number from Voldemort that he wasn't sure about. How many? How many Horcruxes? He has an idea now of how many there could be out there.
Because he said 7.
Because he said, "What about 7, Slughorn? That's the magical number," and that was taken out of the memory.
All right, that is a pretty important one.
Yeah,
but I also just feel like it's not that important. Like, for example,
Why
he said that as a
not?
kid.
He's trying to actually get rid of Voldemort.
No, I know,
in order
but-
to do that, you need to know if his soul is in.
But how does he know? Because all he knows now is, as a teenager, he thought 7 was cool. Well, what if he turned 20 and thought 10 is cool? You know what's cooler than 10? 15. You know what's cooler than that?
No, because
40.
it's
you
not.
know? So
But not.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not just cool. It's a significant number.
in the magical world.
Yes.
And that kind of makes sense, but then why make it
Okay.
7 parts including your own soul if you could have 7 Horcruxes? Wouldn't that be also?
That's what he's trying to do. I thought.
You're saying 7 Horcruxes, not
Yeah.
6 and his own soul.
I thought.
But even
Am I
so,
wrong?
it felt like Dumbledore already kind of knew. He was already hunting Horcruxes. He already basically knew what Voldemort was up to, but
Or maybe just splitting it 7 times. Maybe it's not 7.
right, 7 splits, right? Or yeah, however many that would be. So it just made me think Dumbledore takes some information and fills in a lot of the gaps, and then for whatever reason he really
Wait.
needed this just to come up with the number. But is that enough? How would he know if it's true?
I just got.
Yeah.
This is such a random thing and probably means nothing. But remember when Harry had his wand and he was versing Voldemort and all those people came out of the wand?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or are those all the Horcruxes that he
Interesting.
had?
Well, because I honestly, when I was reading,
You know,
I thought
you wrote it down. How
no,
what-
I didn't. I didn't write it down, but I
Who
was
came
thinking
out of the
that
wand?
Voldemort literally had only killed potentially the 7 people or the 6 people for 6 splits. But then when I started thinking more about it, I thought it can't be unless he was making a Horcrux with Harry's dad and mom, and then was planning on doing the last one with Harry. But we don't know that many instances of Voldemort killing people. But we know he didn't we assume he didn't. Wait. No, he didn't even kill Cedric. That was somebody else, another Death Eater. So I'm just curious.
It seems like he should have killed more than that. So that's
It
why
does.
I'm
It does seem
wondering,
that way.
is it like the people you kill, they have certain power, they have certain knowledge, and then that turns and helps it become, or you literally just pick at random, okay, this one I want it to be a Horcrux.
It feels like Voldemort is very patient. He wanted each of these deaths to mean something when he was creating a Horcrux. He wanted the person to be significant, I
object.
think, and the object. Like the object more important, I guess, but I'm assuming because of the way he's been treating death in general and wanting to be the one to kill Harry, I assumed he wanted to be the one to do it. Like when I'm creating this Horcrux, I want to kill
I found
this
it.
person. What'd you find?
506. It says,
Nice.
which maybe we already answered this while you guys were talking, while I was reading. But it was saying he believed he was making himself invincible. This is Dumbledore talking about Voldemort. I am sure that he was intending to make his final Horcrux with your death, Harry. He's talking to Harry. So he already
had a bunch.
5, let's say, and
Yeah.
he needed the 6th one.
So at that, if we assume Dumbledore is right, he needed to hit his 7, needed to create another Horcrux when he came back. Because whatever it was with
Which
Harry
is
didn't
maybe
work.
why he's trying to kill Harry right away when he became alive again.
And so is he waiting to kill Harry and create a Horcrux now? He seems to have reserved the process of making Horcruxes for particularly significant deaths.
Yeah, so
So it
significant deaths
means
and,
something. What chapter? What
But
page
that was
is
on the same page.
and Danny's
506.
mentioning significant objects. Has maybe he can split his soul into more, but has he found the amount of objects that he can split? Like
He
it
started
can't
that
just
as a
be any
child, which
object.
is so scary
I
too.
know.
It's so creepy.
So
Well-
it has to be. That's why I was even having the discussion on what is a magically powerful object,
Right.
because it can't be any object that you can't. It's like the difference between a port key and a Horcrux is one is not
Yeah.
significant. One could be a rock or a tin can.
And that actually helps it.
Exactly.
But with a
And a
Horcrux-
Horcrux has to be a magically significant object. So maybe he just didn't find the
right
what was
ones.
the
Right
diary? That wasn't magical.
Well, not that we know yet. First
Okay.
of all,
Yeah.
do we even
That's a
really
good
know that's a
question,
Horcrux? I don't know. It just felt weird to me.
Dumbledore says he kind of confirms that's a Horcrux, but again,
Yeah, I
you are
know. But I was
skeptical of
reading it
everything
like
that Dumbledore's
just to be a
saying.
little like,
Well,
It feels
but the
like
whole
Dumbledore
story
is
behind it
jumping to
was
conclusions.
actually it seemed accurate in a way. Like
did.
it was the
It did
first
seem
one,
accurate.
so maybe that's why it was a diary.
Uh-huh.
Secondly, he gave it to Lucius
And Lucius was
Malfoy.
going to plant it at some point.
No, he was supposed to keep it safe, and then was he actually supposed to?
I thought he
plant
was
it?
supposed
I
to
don't
plant
know.
it at Hogwarts at some point, and then he kind of forgot, but then panicked when he thought he might come back. I kind of lost track of what that was supposed
But
to
now
be.
it also makes sense. Well, I don't know if we want to go on that tangent.
Oh, we want to go on that tangent, Jen.
Oh,
Well,
yeah, we do.
Because I wrote this down. Oh, this is how crazy I got. See these some
Jen
chapters you
took
can tell.
notes.
Some chapters.
What?
I know.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
if I like a chapter, you'll know.
You are going to like the next 3 chapters.
I wrote, I don't even know if this is going to make sense, but I'm going to read it. It makes more sense now that Voldemort would want Malfoy in with whatever he's doing for Voldemort now, right? Maybe he's a Death Eater or whatever. So it makes more sense that he would want Malfoy because Lucius messed up so many times for Voldemort. So he's probably gave him this task he cannot accomplish. And Snape maybe wants to help protect him, knowing this background between Lucius and Voldemort being pissed off at Lucius Malfoy. So maybe Snape wanted to protect Malfoy, which is why he did the the binding unbreakable vow. That's it, right? Yeah. So then I said, and maybe he isn't dark after all. Maybe he's actually trying to protect a kid from Voldemort, and he thinks he can protect him that way. Because I'm trying to keep Snape on the good side, even though right now it's not likely. And then also seems that the Half-Blood Prince. Oh, but now I don't think this is true. The Half-Blood Prince is Voldemort from the spell he used on Malfoy. Although to be fair, it seems like Malfoy. I don't know what this means. I did a talk to text and it doesn't make sense. But he was doing the Cruciatus Curse on Harry.
Which is insane.
Which I don't think it actually would have worked because I don't think Malfoy actually wants to kill.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I feel like he could have done it, but I don't know if it would have actually worked.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, I like that too.
And maybe that's why Malfoy was like getting hard on himself and crying in the bathroom. Spell used on Malfoy. I'm not sure.
Let me read a few more.
Because okay.
No,
I
go ahead.
understand my notes now. I was just saying that the Half-Blood Prince book, it was very vicious, this spell, and it seems like it could be something Voldemort would do because it's like for your enemies and something that's very harmful. Yeah. And then I said, and to be fair though, he was going to do the Cruciatus Curse, so he needed something to retaliate. Harry needed something to retaliate against Malfoy. Okay, that's it.
That's perfect.
That makes
if
no
I
sense.
after I read these, I feel like we'll get a little bit maybe a little bit more sense out of them. How do you split your soul? Well, said Slughorn uncomfortably. You must understand that the soul is supposed to remain intact and whole. Splitting it is an act of violation. It is against nature. And later, yes, sir, said Riddle. What I don't understand, though, just out of curiosity, I mean, would one Horcrux be much use? Can you only split your soul once? Wouldn't it be better, make you stronger, to have your soul in more pieces? I mean, for instance, isn't 7 the most powerfully magical number? Wouldn't 7... Merlin's beard, Tom, yelped Slughorn. 7? Isn't it bad enough to think of killing one person? And in any case, bad enough to divide the soul, but to rip it into 7 pieces? So, I guess the question that you guys are asking too is, did he split his soul into 7?
I think he needs 7 pieces, and then but then would he even be human? I don't know. I don't get it. Because is it like he's human with his soul, or whatever human is in this instance, snake human, and then 7 pieces, or is it 7 pieces
7
of your soul, or no? Because you said
because it could be
Horcrux.
either.
Good question, yeah.
I don't know.
Is it like 7 Horcruxes and then he's there, or is it
He's
6
the bonus
Horcruxes and he's the bonus?
Right. And that makes a big difference because that's another Horcrux they have to find.
So
and
then
Dumbledore
Dumbledore
just
would
kind
be
of was like,
wrong.
oh, so it's 6 of them. And I'm just like, Dumbledore, we don't know. I mean, we have a memory. Again, he was a teenager. It's
Yeah.
a long time since then. We need more than just that to be able to confirm. Because then I'm also thinking, let's say we come up with a plan, which I'm just hoping Dumbledore has one. You can eliminate all the Horcruxes and then kill him. But what if you didn't get all the Horcruxes? Would you know that it didn't work? Or would it be like with Harry, he's just gone and people are like, well, did we kill him or is he in Romania or like, off somewhere in Bulgaria? Like, I don't know. So it seems really risky because you wouldn't know until he tries to rise to power again.
Wouldn't that mean one of his Horcruxes are there in Bulgaria?
Wait, why Bulgaria?
I was just saying like off to the east, not
Albania.
actually.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Albania. There it is. I'm like somewhere in Eastern Europe.
Dude, I don't know any.
Okay, well,
Oh man, you're right. We got to read all the books again and see if they're clues.
Now it makes sense why they read like 20 times. They're like
Right?
trying to like, I'm not doing it.
Okay, I have so many questions, guys. Oh my goodness, we could be here for a long time. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
You're not kidding.
I'm
so
not kidding
get
at all.
that off your
This is the greatest day of my life.
greatest day
Tell
of
me,
my life.
I want to answer Danny's question before. Have we come across any Horcruxes already?
Yeah.
What?
Definitely, because it's good literary content. It's got to be old stuff. I think Dumbledore could be wrong about the sword.
Okay.
I think I wondered about how complicated whether something is an object or not.
And I have to recant because it can be any object, but Voldemort himself doesn't want it to be any
It's
mundane
significant
object.
Yes.
object.
It's
for him.
significant
Yep.
for him because he's
Weird.
Yeah.
And
what's the term for someone who
Creepy
just like constantly
and
steals?
A
psychotic.
kleptomaniac.
Kleptomaniac, but steals valuable objects.
Yeah.
He can't help it. And so he wants them to be magically significant.
Can they jump? Can your soul jump to another object? Only why? Well, not that. Because what was the
The basilisk.
Right. When Harry stabbed the diary, could it have jumped to the sword? His soul. And then that's where your sword
Oof.
would be.
And well, the sword would be one thing
Interesting.
because he stabbed the basilisk with the sword. But you saying that makes me wonder if it could have jumped to the fang. The fang of a basilisk has to be some kind of magical something, right? Isn't that what he stabbed the diary with?
Yeah.
So then,
So like
it would
if you,
literally be stabbed with it. But that seems weird.
I feel like that's not.
How do you kill a Horcrux? That's kind of a thing. Dumbledore didn't
know.
tell us.
He did it. Oh, that's true.
So like what you'd be saying is like if you destroy a Horcrux or like don't destroy it maybe the right way, part of the soul jumps off and latches on to the nearest living
Maybe.
or nearest like magical object.
that seems.
If there's one around that could be a thing, right? That's
The
a
only thing
clever
is, like,
thought.
you put your soul in there, so don't you need that person to do it? But it could. Maybe he's that powerful and
Well,
it's that
Voldemort
magical
wasn't in
and
control.
ancient.
Right. And Tom was there, Tom Riddle, in the diary, controlling Ginny, doing all that chaos in Hogwarts. Voldemort wasn't there. It's like, I am almost thinking of it as like a mini clone, has a mind of its own. If it has a way to survive, I think it would try, even if Voldemort had no power or control over it.
Right. So
Again,
you
this
think it
thought
could
only
jump.
because you said that makes me wonder, but if it didn't have another magical object, I don't know what would happen. But Dumbledore seems to think Harry took care of it, right? That's what I was reading it.
That's his assumption, yeah. But
The
you just don't know.
assumption, but
Again,
yeah, now I'm just wondering.
Danny's sowing a lot of seeds of discord and doubt that we have for Dumbledore.
We don't know anything about the history here, but the fact that Slughorn knew, even however many years ago, that Dumbledore didn't like Horcruxes or wouldn't have allowed that type of thing in the library or in a Hogwarts, is it because he didn't like anything dark, or is it because he specifically had a vendetta against Horcruxes and said this is too powerful, or maybe got a prophecy saying Horcruxes are going to lead to thousands of deaths, so stop them. We don't know, but for whatever reason, we are
I feel like
assuming
you
Dumbledore
would,
knows
but
his
it also
stuff.
is encouraging murdering people.
Yeah, but they're teaching
Yeah.
teaching fifth years how to do curses. You know what I mean? They're teaching them Cruciatus and
No,
When they're
that
fourth
was-
years, they
Fourth
taught them,
years.
No, but they weren't. Was that a normal class?
No, Moody jumped
it
ahead.
was a fake Moody.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
Crouch
he
Jr.
was a Death Eater, so that's how they learned it.
Jen, you're bringing up a good point. How do you destroy a Horcrux? How did they let's assume the riddle was a Horcrux. How did they destroy that? How did Harry destroy the
Diary?
The diary, yeah. Sorry. The diary of time.
No, I just wanted to make sure I was
I'm going crazy, yeah.
because you're just so excited.
Yes. How did he destroy that? Do you guys remember?
He took the fang of the basilisk,
Yeah.
right? And stabbed it and it bled out. And then I only remember visuals, so in the movie it looks like Tom's dying. Tom Riddle is dying. I forget what the book portrayed, but
I don't think that was shown. I feel like he just faded
I
away
just,
or something, but
I've
I don't
seen it
remember.
a few times.
So
Sticks.
another. Do you guys remember anything about basilisk venom?
It kills you, doesn't
I can't
it?
believe I can't
Don't
believe
you
that question
freeze?
came out of my mouth. Like basilisk venom. Let's do a study on basilisk venom right now.
Study on it.
And Jen is answering my question.
It was
I thought
dangerous,
you-
That's for sure.
Oh, you can't look in the eyes. That's how you would freeze, right?
Yeah,
The
that
basilisk.
petrifies you. No, that kills you, but people were
Kill
looking at reflections and,
And
that
that would
petrified them.
petrify you.
Oh, nice.
And then the venom, I feel like you would die, but
But it was like more than that.
It was like
What I don't
irreversible damage. What's the
remember.
only thing that can heal a basilisk?
the phoenix
Mhm.
tears.
Phoenix tears are the only known
Why do I-
cures to that. I love that you know
'Cause
this.
you're a
That
Harry
makes
Potter
me
nerd.
so
No, not it.
happy that Jen
Nope.
is a Potterhead. Deny it all you want. So is that an object enough? Is that basilisk venom enough to destroy a Horcrux, or does a Horcrux need to be destroyed
But I thought
some
maybe
other way?
Harry did that, and then Dumbledore did another spell on it to really,
He came in for the double tap, the
Sure.
final blow.
yeah, like what he did to the
Maybe.
ring, where it cracked. I don't know,
I don't know either.
but where
But
is the diary?
It's gonna matter at some point. It's really gonna matter.
Where is the diary?
Okay, let's say he has 7 Horcruxes.
Mm-hmm.
What are those 7 Horcruxes?
What did we? I'm gonna go back or go forward to where.
The diary, the
Okay.
goblet, the necklace, the ring.
You got 4.
Right. But apparently they think with Ravenclaw something that he got, but we don't know what.
We don't know what.
That
yeah.
that could be 5. And then 6, 7. He thought Nagini could be 1,
Yeah.
but then it seems like maybe not in the later chapters.
So you've got 6 of them right now, Jen.
Without looking at my book.
I know.
Nice.
You're on
But
fire
we
today.
don't know if you're right because a lot of these are
No,
put
I
into
know.
doubt.
What?
You're hot tamale.
Wait,
Oh.
you said the locket, right?
I said the
Yeah.
necklace.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the locket. The ring. But
Is
we're
there a
not really
7th?
sure. And then he said
I think so.
part of it is in him, but that's what we, yeah.
Part of it is what?
The 7th being in him,
The
In-
7th is in,
like the seventh
Voldemort.
piece
Like
of
his
his soul,
soul
not
is
7th
in- yeah.
Horcrux.
right.
6 Horcruxes, then said Harry, a little desperately. And then Dumbledore just moves on and says, "But you're forgetting, you already destroyed one, the diary, and I destroyed another, the ring."
Certain things.
So Dumbledore, he doesn't say it outright, but he's like essentially confirming, yeah, 6 could be true.
Okay, and
Might
this is
not.
here's another longer quote because this is kind of what we're talking about. But now, Harry, armed with this information, the crucial memory you have succeeded in procuring for us, we are closer to the secret of finishing Lord Voldemort than anyone has ever been before. You heard him, Harry. Wouldn't it be better to make you stronger, to have your soul into more pieces? Isn't 7 the most powerfully magical number? Isn't 7 the most powerfully magical number? Yes, I think the idea of a 7-part soul would greatly appeal to Lord Voldemort. He made 7 Horcruxes, said Harry, horror-struck, while several of the portraits on the wall made similar noises of shock and outrage. But they could be anywhere in the world, hidden, buried, invisible. I am glad to see you appreciate the magnitude of the problem, said Dumbledore calmly. But firstly, no, Harry, not 7 Horcruxes, 6th. The seventh part of his soul, however, resides in his regenerated body. That was the part of him that lived a spectral existence for so many years during his exile. Without that, he has no self at all. That seventh piece of soul will be the last that anybody wishing to kill Voldemort must attack. The piece that lives in his body. So is Dumbledore right about this? He seems sure, but do you trust his word on this?
Never. No, I should. I mean,
yeah, but I feel like it makes
knows
more
a lot.
sense now that I re-listened to that chapter.
It does make sense.
Because wherever he had his Horcruxes, he was like his soul as a body did not or human did not exist. He went into all of his Horcruxes.
Mm-hmm.
So then to recreate his body, he had to bring them together. So to me, that seems like it counts like as a Horcrux. Like his body now is a Horcrux holding his soul together.
Mm.
Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Interesting. Yeah. So wait, are you kind of saying that like in order to become whole again, or not become whole, but like can he become reanimated by using one Horcrux, or does he have to assemble all of them together?
It sounded like from what he was telling the Death Eaters, he had pieces everywhere. He was in pieces and he came together. But he also lost his body because it was when he tried to kill Harry, it seems like he vanished.
Right.
And dispersed, in his soul split into all those, or he survived in all those Horcruxes.
Yeah, he survived in all those Horcruxes.
But like he didn't have a body, so like to me, this regenerated body is like a Horcrux holding his soul. That's what it. I'm not sure if I'm explaining that correctly.
He's now come back
because it wasn't the original body. Like
yeah,
now he's come back, so it's part of his soul. Right. So that's 7.
So he's not whole, and that's like one of the things that they always say in this.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking. So that's why I'm like, oh, Dumbledore is right. It's not. He doesn't have 7 Horcruxes now because one of them is now him as a body.
So you're actually saying it was 7 Horcruxes.
Yeah.
But then he kind of took one over. His body is gone. Lost one, gained one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then wouldn't he want to create another one? Or maybe he doesn't need to because it's 7. But
I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's why I disagree with Dumbledore, but now after re-listening to it,
right,
I do agree with him. Yeah.
I'm wondering if Dumbledore ever tried to make Horcruxes or got sucked into any dark magic, or if he was always good. I'm only thinking that because of the line Slughorn said earlier about wizards of a certain caliber have always been drawn to that aspect of magic, and I thought, who are wizards of high caliber that we know? And Slughorn and Dumbledore came to mind. And, but Slughorn was saying this in the past. I was thinking Crouch Jr. potentially. And then people like Moody, Fudge maybe. But I just wondered who else has gone down this path. And
Fudge
then
isn't on that caliber. Come on.
Right. I was like, I
He's
can't
a
imagine.
politician.
He's just rich. And then I reread the part that said it's a banned subject at Hogwarts. Dumbledore is particularly fierce about it. So again, that makes me think
interesting.
This is not just he doesn't like dark magic. No, that is a very specific thing. Horcruxes, and Dumbledore, since way back here in the memory, has been against them. So he's got experience with Horcruxes. And at this point, I mean, in present time, Dumbledore, I feel like, must know everything there is to know. If he's spent all of this time since Voldemort the first time, he's hearing rumors of Voldemort, I feel like he must have done some pretty intense stuff.
But do you think he ever went that far as to split his soul or try to split his soul?
Dumbledore?
Is that why he's banning it? Because he attempted this and he realized how damaging it was?
I don't think he would have attempted, I don't think he would have killed anybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's another way to split your soul. But how would we know?
Slughorn seems like murder is the only thing that can split your soul.
But you know what? There might be more. Because, well, here's what comes to mind. Wow, I just built a whole backstory for Dumbledore that doesn't make any sense. Dumbledore had a family, a wife and kids, and they were murdered. And that split his soul out of mourning.
Interesting.
Because what I'm thinking is the
Interesting.
soul splitting is not the way Slughorn said it. It sounded like you lose a piece of who you are.
What if his
You know,
brother?
metaphorically too.
What's his brother's name?
Aberforth.
The goat one.
That's
Um,
his split soul.
So I don't know, but I imagine if there was another way to split a soul, it would be something like intense grief or insane hardship or something
So-
else.
Could Tonks be splitting her soul into a Horcrux now?
Whoa. And what would it be? What Horcrux?
I disagree with that.
Well, the thing is, if you didn't know how to split your soul, you can be heartbroken, you know. But if you didn't
And it
know how to put
affects
it
your
into an
Patronus.
object, then like you have a broken heart inside. You know, it doesn't go anywhere. You don't now have it doesn't
But
take the form of something in your house.
Can you put it in an object? Can you take that out because maybe it hurts so much and put it in an object and save it for
as
somewhere
like
later?
a process the grief by removing it. Like
It's
if
not
Tonks was like,
pensive.
let me remove some of this.
Yeah,
Maybe that's in the same.
that is like a
vein
pensive, but
as-
that's a thought maybe more. So it's maybe it's a little more detached than part of your soul. Like in what other ways?
What is your soul?
That's a great question. What is the soul? What is love?
Come
What
on,
is the
John.
soul?
I feel like you should answer that for us.
But if you're thinking about it, if Slughorn says murder is the only thing, not the only thing, but that's what he thinks is the way that you create Horcruxes. But can you create it in other ways?
I don't think Slughorn knows that much about this.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to know a ton.
But it's dangerous enough that Dumbledore wanted all information destroyed. But maybe that was all for this moment because he doesn't want Voldemort to realize there are other ways of doing it. But Voldemort's not above killing, so I guess that doesn't really matter. Yeah, I don't know why Dumbledore wouldn't want that. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it doesn't feel that consistent with all the other like kind of intense things that wizards learn about.
So could you split your soul from like depression or losing someone that you love, or like is there other crimes that like is creating an inferi a way that you can split your soul or something like that?
I can't imagine that being one.
I feel like it would only have to be murdering someone
Although maybe.
because that's something like you're killing a soul so you can split yours.
Yeah. It's reminiscent. I'm gonna nerd out even more. The whole Marvel series, when they take the Soul Stone. I don't know if you guys know.
Yeah.
You
They
know
take
what?
the Soul
Vaguely.
Stone. They have to sacrifice a soul in order to gain the Soul Stone. So someone has to die at that part, and they regain the stone. So is the same thing true? I mean, I feel like Jen's theory on that is pretty accurate. Like, you have to destroy a soul in order for your soul to be split or something like that. But can a soul be destroyed? Can your own soul be split in half by mourning someone that you love that their soul was destroyed, or in any other way? It's like just interesting things to think of. We don't have to answer
because
those
then
right now,
Harry
but-
would be able to do that.
If
Well,
he
maybe he
knew
was too young.
how. Oh yeah, with his own parents. Maybe too
It's-
young.
yeah,
It was so long. He's only hearing
Neville,
stories.
was he the
Yeah.
same age?
same age,
Oof. He's been
but
through
the
a
grief
lot.
that they experience now maybe could do it. Harry's longing when he looks into the mirror of Erised
just
is
don't
for his
think
parents.
that's-
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah, he brought that up.
And even Tonks, like I could see it happening accidentally. If someone gave her an out and said, "Hey, you know, there's a way to deal with this pain, and you can just kind of get rid of it, and you're gonna forget some things, and you're gonna feel like a part of you is missing, but you won't be in pain
going
anymore."
to want to have their soul? Like I think you have to be pretty
You'd
messed
have to
up,
be desperate,
like
yeah.
a murderer, and
Uh-huh.
wanting your soul to be split because then you're not really you.
But I think the point being,
Or
your
something.
soul, in the case of like some kind of depression or deep sadness and mourning a loss, your soul is already split, but it's like a painful part of you. So then if you moved it into something else as like a coping mechanism, you could accidentally maybe create a Horcrux.
I would rather just
but-
put that thought in a pensive and forget about
Yeah,
it.
right.
Not split my soul.
Agreed.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Here's
it's dark
another
stuff.
line that I want to talk about. But the 6th Horcrux then, said Harry, a little desperately, how are we supposed to find them? You are forgetting you have already destroyed one of them, and I have destroyed another. You have? Said Harry eagerly. Yes, indeed, said Dumbledore, and he raised his blackened, burned-looking hand. The ring, Harry. Marvolo's ring, and a terrible curse there was upon it too. Had it not been, forgive me, the lack of seemly modesty for my own prodigious skills and for Professor Snape's timely action when I returned to Hogwarts, desperately injured, I might not have lived to tell the tale. However, a withered hand does not seem an unreasonable exchange for a seventh of Voldemort's soul. The ring is no longer a Horcrux. So Dumbledore seems to think the diary and the ring are for sure
But
Horcruxes.
like, what happens when it's destroyed? Like, you see the soul like
Great point, yeah.
like misting out,
Right.
and like it's like
It's just gone
Smoke.
then?
Yeah.
Right.
And why is there such a terrible curse on it? What has happened to Dumbledore's hand?
well, Snape had to help him with it.
Mhm.
It seemed like it backfired on.
Did the Horcrux try and jump into Dumbledore or something?
Hmm.
And
You can jump into a human.
maybe the Nagini throws
Jump
me
into
off.
a living thing. So do you think it can jump into a human? Do you think like the part that was Dumbledore
Ew,
destroyed
is
in
that
the
what
ring
what's
tried
his
to latch
name? The
onto?
professor was?
Quirrell.
Yeah, kind of.
It feels like
Ew.
Horcrux
He was a host
adjacent.
more than
Yeah, right.
That's disgusting.
But
But
that's why it feels weird. I'm like, how much is it an object, or could it be a person? Could it
You're
be
not
like-
gonna like what I'm gonna say.
Say it.
Oh boy.
please.
Oh boy. No, it's about J.K. Rowling. Whatever. I don't know how to say her name. She like how come he was in a host, but then this Horcrux, like I feel like she just keeps changing what
She's
she wants
changing the
to
rules.
do.
So
I
this-
don't get it.
This is kind of what they think happened when Voldemort was destroyed. He wasn't completely destroyed initially with Harry. Like it wasn't like everyone knew he was going to come back, so he fled and he went to Albania, and he lived a half existence in Albania.
But that is I don't even understand what you're saying.
like his soul was like crushed to the point. Like if I
Like
went,
was he actually a being or it was just his soul?
it was that part of his soul. He wasn't a being yet. He went and like lived among like rats and all that kind of stuff. Like he said.
But then
in the
his
fourth book.
Horcruxes, I don't get it. They're all over. So wasn't that how he survived? Or you're saying
so
this
that
is
is how he
different?
survived. But like he couldn't scratch an existence. Like his soul was just like there. So I don't know if he couldn't like kill himself there to go reanimate in a new soul. But it seemed like he was so weakened and he was like trying to gain strength because he didn't want to destroy that part of that was like the original. That was like the OG Voldemort. So when he
So-
did that, Quirrell stumbled across and he took possession of Quirrell's turban head. And that was like him trying to rise to power. So it was like Voldemort was at peak power, then he descended into almost nothing. But he wasn't nothing yet. And then he reascended as Quirrell 14 years later. And then that was part one of who Voldemort was. When he was destroyed at that moment, that was like the original part of Voldemort that was destroyed. And then the diary was destroyed after, which Dumbledore thinks is a Horcrux. He was reanimated in some weird way in the fourth book that you don't know. Was he animated by a Horcrux in the fourth book?
His bones of his dad. Was that a Horcrux?
Well, I was thinking even before that, like his little worm self, and then.
But that's what I
is
don't.
what
I can't
becomes
follow
more-
anything. So I could have followed it before when he like wasn't a being at all, and all the Horcruxes, and somehow his soul could come together. Maybe that doesn't even make sense either.
Well, I just think we don't understand it enough. It's like
Yeah.
complicated
Yeah,
ancient
true.
magic.
Here's a side question off of this.
Will
Where
we
do you
get
think the
answers?
Horcruxes are hidden?
Oh, that part didn't sit that right with me. Like, why would he just scatter them about? Like, Dumbledore
think-
almost made it
well-
sound like, oh yeah, there's a diary here and the ring there and whatever. And he like, why would he leave the ring in the ruins of
Yeah, but it had so many
the house of
curses
his
on the
family?
house.
Okay,
True, but that's what made it easy for Dumbledore to find them. So
Great.
that's a problem.
wait. Why is it easy for Dumbledore to find them?
Dumbledore said that something, I forget the line, but basically all of the magic that Voldemort used to protect the Horcrux is what helped Dumbledore
He
confirm
finds
that it was
traces
there.
of it, yeah.
Yeah. So he was able to see traces of the magic that was supposed to protect it. So maybe the average wizard wouldn't have been able to do that, but Dumbledore knew what to look for and said, okay, I see some pretty intense spells over here.
Here's another
Something.
thing too. What do you think Voldemort's biggest flaw is?
He likes showing off his
For sure.
wins.
Let's count all of his flaws. He likes showing off his wins, 100%.
He's selfish and untrusting.
Selfish and untrusting.
He likes to be alone.
True.
Loner.
Yep.
He's a loner. And that plays an important role into like even some of the stuff that Dumbledore is saying. You guys mentioned this before. Does he have any friends? Doesn't have real friends.
Does fear count as one, or is that something different?
How do you think he's fearful? That's an interesting
Well, this
one.
is jumping. I think it was the last chapter that we read, but it was because what made the prophecy come to fruition was because of his own fear.
Of the prophecy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
being
point.
Destroyed. Yeah.
Yep.
So it was like I don't know what the word is.
Yep.
I don't know what the word is either, but I think that's a great point.
I was going to say oxymoron, but I don't know if that's in my head that makes sense.
I can't figure out how to word it, but something, of course, with love. He underestimates because he can't feel love and like bonding and friendship and fellowship and all that. He underestimates all of that power in magic and even muggles can experience. So I think he feels a little bit one-sided, maybe.
Yeah.
I think he underestimates ancient magic too.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Great point. His underestimation of certain things. What does Voldemort underestimate? Ancient magic?
Love. Which
Love.
is part of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you feel like he underestimates every other wizard in the world?
Harry.
Yeah, because he's so arrogant. Yeah, he's underestimated Harry.
Big
How
time.
many times? 4 times now.
Yeah. And Dumbledore himself has said through the memories that one thing that Voldemort wants is to feel unique and separate from everyone else. He wants to be head and shoulders above, better than everyone else. So he looks down on other people as not intelligent as himself, as like lesser than. So one reason why we think the things are hidden in random spots, but how difficult was it for Dumbledore to procure all these memories, to get these memories? It was like a serious task that he was trying to
he's
do.
been trying for a long time.
So, and some of them we're not even sure if they're full, complete memories. Voldemort thinks that if Voldemort knew that Dumbledore had these memories, I think information. This is again why it's such a flex for Dumbledore to call him Tom, because it's like going back to this. He's like, I know who you are, and Voldemort hates that. He wants like his past to be eradicated, but he doesn't think anybody knows what his past is. So he doesn't think anybody knows his mother, his uncle, his father, his grandfather. So he hides this in this little thing, and he hides it in a cave because he doesn't think anybody knows what these things are, or like where these things are, or like anything about his past. So to us, we're like, oh, why would he hide it in a shack? But it was like magically protected, but he hid it in a shack because he doesn't think anybody else knows that part about him.
Never guessing that I might one day take the trouble to visit the ruin.
Exactly.
Or that I might be keeping an eye open for traces of magical concealment.
Exactly.
So
What
yeah,
does
he's
that even
underestimating.
mean?
What?
Like he can see magical concealment with like a special eye. Moody's
I
eye.
guess. Yeah.
His mad eye Moody.
Yeah. And who did he leave the diary with?
Voldemort left it
Lucius.
with Lucius.
Who was one of his top Death Eaters. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like giving it to anybody.
That's true.
He left the ring in the Gaunt Shack. It was probably magically protected. Where else are Horcruxes hidden? If Nagini is one, he keeps Nagini by his side pretty much at all times. Where else would he hide?
I feel like he
Horcruxes?
wanted to put one in Hogwarts.
Do you think he was able to?
That would be a good spot.
I don't know. If he did,
Where would
it
you hide
feels
one?
like it's in the room of requirement right now.
Oof, that's a rough Where's Waldo moment.
That would be brutal to try to find that thing.
That's why I was like, did he take over? Because that would be the perfect place to hide them all.
We also don't know how it works, but I was
Wouldn't
wondering.
it be?
Oh yeah,
Like,
literally all of them.
It's pretty-
You literally,
That's where Harry is going to hide something. So
Yeah,
I don't know. To me, I'd be like, you just hide them all there. That's why he wanted in
throw
in
them all in
Hogwarts.
there. You can't even get to them. Well, I was wondering how big it can be. Could all of Hogwarts be one? Could Peeves be one? Could you make
Oh.
like a building a
All right, now
Horcrux?
it's getting crazy. I can't process that.
So you actually think that it could be like a living thing?
Well, I don't know if Peeves counts as a living thing, but Nagini does. So, or maybe kind of does. I don't know. But maybe Nagini was dead and Voldemort put part of his soul in there, and that's what Nagini is.
Yeah.
So we don't really know, but
So can Voldemort's soul latch itself onto a living thing? And like the answer to that, I guess, is yes, because it's doing that to Nagini.
I would say yeah, but we don't really understand it. Like if the dynamic with Nagini is the same that it was with Quirrell, they can still be separate beings, but sharing the same body potentially. We don't have a lot of answers.
Where do you think they're hidden, Danny?
I think in order for it to be safe, it would make sense for them to be hidden far and wide, but based on what we've read so far, it would make sense if we have seen the places they're hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Probably somewhere in England. We've never left England. I would love to say the tombs in Egypt or somewhere far away, but although up by Durmstrang, if they were up there killing Karkaroff, maybe he got too close to
Do
something.
you still think Karkaroff's alive? And he's
He hasn't come up again. Now I'm just like, he might actually just be dead. Oh well. He just was a cool character. It would have been cool to see him more. But he's pretty low on my list now just because it's been crickets from him. I feel like one could definitely be at Hogwarts. I wouldn't be surprised if one was at the Ministry. And then somewhere in Diagon Alley. Like somewhere we've been early on. Or maybe like the Burrow or something.
He hit a Horcrux at the Burrow?
I don't know. But I'm just thinking Mr. Weasley, for a living, he collects all these knickknacks. What if he was doing a raid on something, he collects some kind of object, he brings it home to study it, doesn't even realize how powerful it is, and then it's just sitting in the Burrow.
That would be incredible.
It could, kind of make sense. And they've already dropped the hint that he's willing to stretch the rules with like enchanting the car and stuff like that. So then like maybe he brought something home that he thought was cool and harmless or whatever. So anyways, that was an idea. I don't know.
Here's another line that we have too. He seems to have reserved the process of making Horcruxes for particularly significant deaths. You certainly would have been that. He believed that in killing you, he was destroying the danger the prophecy had outlined. He believed he was making himself invincible. I'm sure that he was intending to make his final Horcrux with your death. So, what object did he have when he was with going to kill Harry?
We don't know. And that was one of the things you mentioned early on that people would ask JK, what happened to Voldemort's wand? Well, if he had anything on him, we have to say the same thing. What happened to the Horcrux? Or, weird question, could a wand be a Horcrux? I'm assuming he was wearing clothing at the time. Could a robe be a Horcrux? Could it be a robe that was passed down from some ancient wizard?
If it was
a baby crib.
The crib. The Horcrux crib.
That's stupid. The wand. Didn't Wormtail have his wand?
Or maybe the Potters already had something that was ready to be a Horcrux, something passed down in the line of the Potters.
Mm-hmm.
And then he knew that whatever that object was also going to be with Harry. And we don't know enough about it. Do you have to do the Horcrux maneuver right away? Is this a 30-second timer? Or do you have a day, or an hour? Could he then instantly go apparate somewhere else and do a little jig and get the Horcrux to be somewhere else? Or does it all have to be in the same place, same moment, all together? I don't know. Or do you have to kill somebody with the object, the Horcrux thing, by like charming it and then having it, the person touches it and dies and right in that moment? I don't know. The other person in the order that he killed a while back, I looked it up because she was on my character list, Dorcas Meadows. He killed her intentionally, personally. And I thought, I wonder if she was something special. And if a Horcrux was created in her death, or if we've seen any of the deaths, because that would be a good way to figure out what a Horcrux is. If you can track down the people he's killed, you figure out what objects might have been nearby. If the person owned objects, that would be good Horcruxes. And then I also thought, is the Horcrux safer or better or more concealed if it is in quote unquote the place it belongs, like the ring in the house of the man who owned it? You know, is there something that would make more sense at Hogwarts, that it would just belong there? You know, you hide the Horcrux where the Sword of Gryffindor is kept. And I'm wondering if there's anything along those lines too.
Interesting. Yeah. It is very curious if what he had, or if what he was intending to make as a Horcrux with Harry. If he had some object with him. But maybe we'll figure out. Here's some more lines for you guys. Yeah, I think so, said Dumbledore. Without his Horcruxes, Voldemort will be a mortal man with a maimed and diminished soul. Never forget, though, that while his soul may be damaged beyond repair, his brain and his magical powers remain intact. It will take uncommon skill and power to kill a wizard like Voldemort, even without his Horcruxes. But I haven't got uncommon skill and power, said Harry, before he could stop himself. Yes, you have, said Dumbledore firmly. You have power that Voldemort has never had. You can... I know, said Harry impatiently. I can love. It was only with difficulty that he stopped himself, adding, big deal. Yes, Harry, you can love, said Dumbledore, who looked as though he knew perfectly well that Harry had just refrained from saying. Which, given everything that has happened to you, is a great and remarkable thing. You are still too young to understand how unusual you are, Harry. What is the deeper thing going on there? Why is Harry too young to understand what's going on?
I don't know. That part gets me.
Wait, can you repeat it one more time? Like that line.
So he says, you are still, given everything that has happened to you, it is a great and remarkable thing that you're able to love. You are still too young to understand how unusual you are, Harry.
Yeah, the unusual part I don't get. But I think you could get bitter and angry, so he could go to the dark side, like with his parents passing and wanting revenge and not caring about anyone else, just getting revenge.
Yep, and he doesn't do that. Well, he kind of does, actually. We'll talk about that line later in the chapter. Because they mentioned like the prophecy, and Dumbledore says, would you stop hunting him if you knew the prophecy didn't exist? And Harry's like,
No.
I would still want to go after him. And he said, I would want to be the one that finishes him off. Because here's even some other lines that we have. These are like important ones too. He heard the prophecy and leapt into action, with the result that he not only handpicked the man most likely to finish him, he handed him uniquely deadly weapons. But it is essential you understand this, said Dumbledore, standing up and striding about the room, his glittering robe swishing in his wake. Harry had never seen him so agitated. By attempting to kill you, Voldemort himself singled out the remarkable person who sits here in front of me and gave him the tools for the job. It is Voldemort's fault that you are able to see into his thoughts, his ambitions, that you even understand the snake-like language in which he gives orders. And yet, Harry, despite your privileged insight into Voldemort's world, which incidentally is a gift any Death Eater would kill to have, you have never been seduced by the dark arts, never, even for a second, shown the slightest desire to become one of Voldemort's followers. What is he talking about here? What are these extra like powers? How did Harry get these?
Because part of Voldemort is in Harry. Haven't we?
That like connection that you guys talked about?
Yeah, which I guess you haven't actually. In my mind, it's truth, but
no, maybe it is.
He created his own enemy because, like we were saying, his faults are that he's narcissistic and a loner. So he just basically created his own enemy.
Yeah, seriously.
And then it's protected by love because his parents died for him. So his enemy with powers, and then on top of that, all this love ancient magic that he wants nothing to do with. It's like, okay, it's created.
I'm still just curious what extra, like, did he get Voldemort's capacity to love?
What?
Or like
Should be
more?
Well, because I'm just like, something about this dynamic, Harry doesn't even understand how special he is.
I don't
Like,
to
compared
me
to
it,
all people?
Oh, but
Compared
to
to
me it
Voldemort?
seems
Compared
more
to-
of like his parents like dying for him and the fact that he, like, even Dumbledore said something with the mirror that anyone else would have seen a desire they wanted, but all you wanted to see was your family.
Yeah, so what made
And-
Harry so pure? What made Harry so good that, I mean, to say pure is kind of funny because he's got tons of flaws, but he's never been seduced by the dark arts, not even for a second.
I
That's
think,
what Dumbledore says, but
I'm wondering if that's because of his parents dying, whatever that
like
magic
that love
is.
protection actually
Yeah.
is like a part of him
Yeah,
that protects him from being tempted by the dark side.
maybe.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, I guess that's been like the question that we've had for a long time is like, what is this connection that Voldemort and Harry
Just that
share?
one question. That's it.
You are protected in
Just
short
the
by
one.
your ability to love. You remain pure of heart.
But Dumbledore says it so many times that he's like over it, but it obviously is
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
deeper.
Yeah.
True.
So that's where I think it's a combination of like he has dark magic in him, but he's using it for good.
Yeah.
And he's
Hmm.
protected by ancient magic. So it's just a great combo.
Yeah. What is
don't
this
know.
connection? That is the question that we need to figure out.
Hmm.
But here are some other lines.
Harry is a Horcrux. His scar is a Horcrux. Gotta rip it out.
Rip that skin out.
Ew.
But then he could end the movie with no scar. That'd be good.
Gross.
Oh my gosh.
Could his invisibility cloak be a Horcrux?
Oh my god.
Because
Is
maybe
this
that's the object that was
seriously-
passed down.
From his dad?
Yeah, like it was an heirloom. It's special. We thought it was more special than it was. Now we know there are other invisibility cloaks out there. It's not
You
like
mean like when
that,
he killed
that's
it,
special.
he put it in
But
there?
yeah, there's a chance it actually was there. You know what I mean? On that night.
What about the map?
The Marauders map? Yeah, we don't have any idea where that was.
So we
That
do
could
know.
be.
So one thing we do know is that the cloak wasn't in the Potter's possession the night that Harry was
Oh.
killed because it was in Dumbledore's because he was looking at it. But
Oh,
Voldemort
but
doesn't
he
know
maybe
that.
didn't know that, right?
Voldemort probably didn't know that, and that object has insane magical powers. It's like no other cloak that has ever existed. Ron knows that. Dumbledore knows that. It's like a different cloak. It's
Wait,
like
his dad's not like the other ones that are invisible?
his dad's. The other ones that are invisible, there's a few that we've seen. We actually have we seen any other
I
invisibility?
think
Yeah, we
only
have.
one.
I just can't remember.
Moody.
He
mentioned
mentioned
an-
one.
yeah.
We didn't see it really.
Oh
but
no, it was Crouch.
was
Crouch
it?
Jr.
That's right. That's
What did
right.
he
He was
say?
under an invisibility cloak when he
Yeah.
escaped from prison. Good.
Oh,
Jen
yeah.
is
And-
recalling the points right now.
Oh man.
At the house because that's how the little elf late girl hid him too. That's remember the game and everything. He was
Oh,
out
yeah, of
at
course.
the game.
Right. At the
Yeah.
Yep, the World
He was
Oh
Cup.
under
my
the
gosh,
invisibility-
I don't know why I'm remembering this crap.
Yeah.
Not crap.
How dare you?
I didn't. It just came out like that.
Here are some other lines that
They're
I
all
want
gonna hate
to
me.
discuss before we finish this chapter because there's a lot. There's a lot here.
So much.
I do not think he understands why, Harry, but he was in such a hurry to mutilate his own soul, he never paused to understand the incomparable power of a soul that is untarnished and whole. I just love that line. Harry watched Dumbledore striding. I love that you guys were in sync right there. You guys are so cute.
Yep.
Harry watched Dumbledore striding up and down in front of him and thought, I think I copied this down wrong. Hold on.
Harry watched Dumbledore striding up and down in front of him and thought. He thought of his mother, his
Yeah.
father, and Sirius. He thought of Cedric Diggory. He thought of all the terrible deeds he knew Lord Voldemort had done. A flame seemed to leap inside his chest, searing his throat.
Keep going, Danny. Keep going.
Ah, yes. I'd want him finished, said Harry quietly, and I'd want to do it. Of course you would, cried Dumbledore. You see, the prophecy does not mean you have to do anything, but the prophecy caused Lord Voldemort to mark you as his equal. In other words, you are free to choose your way, quite free to turn your back on the prophecy. But Voldemort continues to set store by the prophecy. He will continue to hunt you, which makes it certain, really, that one of us is going to end up killing each other, said Harry. Yes.
Keep going, Danny. It just gets better and better. I'm sorry.
But he understood at last what Dumbledore had been trying to tell him. It was, he thought, the difference between being dragged into the arena to face a battle to the death and walking into the arena with your head held high. Some people perhaps would say that there was little to choose between the two ways. But Dumbledore knew, and so do I, thought Harry, with a rush of fierce pride, and so did my parents, that there was all the difference in the world.
Mm-hmm. There was all the difference in the world between those two things, between being forced into the arena and going in with your head held high.
So true.
What do you guys, any other thoughts on this chapter before we go to the next one?
It was just a very poetic way to end it.
Yeah.
Because I think those are the thoughts we're kind of thinking, wait, are prophecies true or are they not? Is it going to happen? Does one of them have to kill? Like, does it even matter? And then this was like a good distinction. And I love that Harry is like getting fierce. You know, he was feeling it. It was good.
I know, it's so good. It's one of my favorite lines in the whole series, that one. Just like Harry coming to this realization. He just has like an epiphany at this moment. And he knows that he would still hunt him even if like he didn't have to kill any of these other Horcruxes or anything like that. It's Harry, this is his battle. If the prophecy didn't exist, he would still go after him because of what he did to his parents.
Mm-hmm.
We'll keep talking about stuff in this chapter because this is going to keep coming up over and over and over and over again. I'm going to keep asking you really guys annoying questions about what are Horcruxes, where are they? We'll keep talking about that one. But let's go into chapter 24,
well, you
Sectum
got it out of
Sempra.
me, I guess. You asked enough times. But I got it right.
I know, you nailed it. Okay, give me a summary of Sectum Sempra.
Kristen, do you have this one? I don't think I wrote anything down.
I wrote a lot.
Oh, excellent.
Ginny and Dean are split up. So Harry wants to ask her out, but is afraid Ron won't like it. Harry finds Malfoy in the bathroom, and they start dueling, and Harry uses Sectum Sempra. Mm-hmm. Snape saves Malfoy, but becomes suspicious of how Harry knew that dark spell, and gives Harry detention, which falls on the morning of the Quidditch match. Gryffindor wins the match, and Harry kisses Ginny.
Yay. Okay. Back to Horcruxes.
Wow, we got so far.
Why isn't Dumbledore just doing all of this himself? Weird question, maybe, but why does he rope Harry into this whole thing? He's out hunting Horcruxes. Dumbledore is the greatest wizard in the entire world. Why does he rope Harry into this?
Preparing him for something.
Yeah.
Teaching him his ways. Maybe he thinks he's not going to make it.
Who, Dumbledore?
I don't know.
And he wants Harry to be ready for whatever. Just a backup plan. I'm afraid your theory of Harry being somehow a Horcrux is a thing. And that
really?
Harry, like, in the end, imagine it was, then Harry would be the only person who could deal with it. Like, something, I feel like the end has to be that. Or maybe Dumbledore just knows the prophecy. Like, in the end, it's going to be just Harry and just Voldemort fighting. So all of this
information
will, whether it's information or, again, I'm even thinking the wand thing. Like, if a wand is with someone for a long time, do you bond with that wand? If a wand has beaten someone before, then is it more powerful the next time? If Harry uses his own wand to destroy some Horcruxes, does that make it more powerful against Voldemort in the future? Like, I don't think this is just Dumbledore being like, yeah, it's cool, field trip time. Like, this serves a greater purpose. We just don't know what it is. So
but
I'm
also
thinking
Harry and Voldemort's wand have the same phoenix feather.
Yep. And then we were discussing, does that make Harry's wand more powerful?
Or
next time?
I don't know. Oh yeah, because the power we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, like that power dynamic.
Gosh, that was a long one too.
And so if Voldemort's trying to upgrade his own wand somehow, he's like, cool, I'm going to go out and kill a bunch of people to make my wand, feel good again. It's had a losing streak, but we're going to win some battles with this wand. Then Harry might be doing the same thing, destroying some Horcruxes, doing some other stuff with his wand, kind of like, beefing those stats up before you go to battle again. Because again, they've battled a bunch of times and Harry keeps winning. So I feel like this might be a way Dumbledore can either be training Harry just practically to be better at like high pressure situations, or very intentionally specifically.
Also with the Horcrux, like what if Voldemort had collected back all his Horcruxes? Does that give him more power?
Maybe. But then they'd all be in one place,
Yeah.
so then you could like what's safer? Spread out or all together? I don't know.
Oh, that's actually a really interesting question. What is when you split your soul by murdering someone, how do you make your soul whole again?
I don't know.
Can you?
Collecting all of them and pouring them in a jar and then drinking it.
Yeah, another potion and stir
Yeah.
them around. The
So
more
that's a
bone of the
magical
father.
way to do things, for sure.
Is there
like-
an unmagical
Is there
way?
an unmagical way to make your soul whole and
You just
complete?
crunch those things, like eat those rocks, munch
You
them.
wear everything.
Oh, giant necklace, some clinging and clanging little. How could you do it?
You crack them.
Something.
I have
Wait,
no
what are
idea.
they again?
Like let's
You
even
could
take
melt these things down. So far, they're all like precious metals, right?
melt them down, make them
And then
into
what? Like with some boots,
yeah.
like chainmail out of all melted down stuff.
Heavy metal boots the rest of your life. Think about it in non-magical ways at like period. If someone murdered someone, how would you go about? Is there any possible way to make your soul complete after you've killed someone?
You
Well, I
give
was-
birth to someone.
Whoa, that completes you, huh?
I don't know. You're
No, it could be-
replacing
You
a
give birth to a
soul.
soul. Voldemort's
about to
sounds
give birth.
terrible,
Take a
'cause you
soul,
can't
give a
really do
soul.
that, but
Take a penny, leave a penny. I was gonna say you can make
Bellatrix and
amends,
Voldemort
but Voldemort wouldn't do that.
a
What?
mate.
You create a baby?
You can
Not
make
me.
amends. How would you make amends?
Him and
Voldemort and
Bellatrix.
Bellatrix.
Yeah, but Voldemort's not going to go
Voldemort and
ask for
Bellatrix have a
forgiveness.
That's how he gets it back.
Ooh. You
That
can't
would
be
be
a
an
full soul,
terrible.
but you can pass it on.
Kid.
Um,
That should not be born. Disgusting.
Just keep that in the back of your mind. That's like an interesting question
Yeah.
to think through. If Voldemort can actually have the pieces of his soul, like, do you think a redemption arc for Voldemort would be possible?
nah.
Really, he's too far gone.
He's
Wait,
too far.
I couldn't. What?
But
His soul could
Malfoy-
not become intact.
Those tears, they got me a little bit.
I know.
I was like,
Let's talk about those,
And then I
actually.
think Harry went too far. So like I was like,
Oof.
Voldemort, no redemption. But even Lucius, a little bit this chapter,
Yeah.
I was a little like, man, he was in a tough spot.
I know.
I'm not even so sure he wanted to be
know.
evil after all this.
So this was
We don't
one
like
of
him,
the lines
of
that we
course,
get
but-
with Draco. No one can help me, said Malfoy. His whole body was shaking. I can't do it. I can't. It won't work. And unless I do it soon, he says he'll kill me. And Harry realized, with a shock so huge it seemed to root him to the spot, that Malfoy was crying. Actually crying. Tears streaming down his pale face into the grimy basin. Malfoy gasped and gulped, and then with a great shudder, looked up into the crack mirror and saw Harry staring at him over his shoulder. Is it shocking to see Draco in this state?
Yeah.
I didn't find it that shocking. I think I just felt for him. Because
Like, it
he
almost
has a
makes
lot
sense.
of pressure on him, it seemed
True.
like. And he wasn't looking healthy or good.
Mhm.
Snape kept checking in with him, and then he would have like tempered tantrums or outbursts with Snape for questioning his ways of doing things.
Right.
So I feel like the stress, and then now it's like just breaking down, like I can't do it anymore, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like his mind can't take the stress of that, so he just has an emotional breakdown. Which one of us hasn't been there, you know?
Oh gosh.
That's my next question. What was your last emotional breakdown? No, I was just kidding.
Whoa, nice.
Last night, last week.
Yeah, we're
How
talking
many
hours.
would you want to know?
Hi.
And
Like, very
females versus males is going to be a little different, I think.
But what is Draco talking about here? What can he do? And who's going to kill him? All the stuff that he's talking about.
Voldemort's going to kill him. He can't kill Harry. And that's that. Or Dumbledore. Or he can't open some thing. I'm not
But
sure.
if his goal, okay, so this is maybe a wild point. If his goal is killing Harry, he could do it right here, right now, with Avada Kedavra, rather than Crucio. Why wouldn't he use that? So is his goal actually to
I
kill
don't
Harry?
think he could do any of them.
Yeah, maybe. For some reason, I think Crucio might be the easiest of them.
Yeah.
It might take a little less malice. But now I'm starting to think
I got
Voldemort needs to
confused
kill
with the
Harry.
spells. I thought he was trying to do the killing one.
No.
Oh, yeah.
He was
Just
torturing him.
torturing him. But maybe he did just want to torture him and capture him, bring him to Voldemort because Voldemort never made his final
Maybe he
Horcrux
wants
and
him
wants to kill
alive,
Harry to
though.
do
He
it.
Yeah,
just
that's
wants
true.
him
Yeah.
captured.
Yeah, it's a great point.
I'll go with that.
But this is where you get this insane line. There was a loud bang, and the bin behind Harry exploded. Harry attempted a leg locker curse that backfired off the wall behind Malfoy's ear and smashed the cistern beneath Moaning Myrtle, who screamed loudly. Water poured everywhere, and Harry slipped over Malfoy. His face contorted, cried, "Cruci Sectum Sempra!" bellowed Harry from the floor, waving his wand wildly. What do you think of... Yeah, so you don't actually think that Draco could have used the Cruciatus Curse? You don't think it would have worked? Does he have enough hate in his heart? That's a really, really great question. Is his soul actually...
That's what part of
fully
me thought
intact?
he was crying because he can't actually do any of these curses that he wants to do.
Maybe he's practicing.
Maybe.
And maybe
he's
he's
so
having a hard
depressed.
time doing what he needs to do. Like maybe he actually has had opportunities to do it already. and
Yeah,
just
but
can't
like
get it
he
done.
can't like consciously like
Yeah. Also,
whatever.
what bathroom led to the Chamber of Secrets? And is this that bathroom?
I don't think it's the same bathroom, no.
Okay, cool. Because
I think-
I didn't think so either. But then I was just like,
It was the
again,
girls'
trying to wonder what
bathroom.
Malfoy's up to. I'm like, is there any chance this is chamber related? Because again, with the diary, with the other stuff, I'm like,
That is funny though.
it just feels
'cause
weird.
It was the
Another
girls'
bathroom, and
bathroom.
Myrtle's around
Yeah.
again. I'm
And
like,
this is-
What?
but girls' bathrooms and guys' bathrooms are right next to each other. So I'm suspicious.
You guys, I was dying at the podcast last time when we were talking about some of this kind of stuff. Jen goes, maybe he's going into the bathroom with these girls and sucking out their souls or something like that.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
one of the funniest moments. I laughed so hard when I was editing this podcast on it. Oh my gosh.
You're welcome.
Here is another one. Here's like some just interesting lines as well. The door banged behind Harry, and he looked up, terrified. Snape had burst into his room, his face livid. Pushing Harry roughly aside, he knelt over Malfoy, drew his wand, and traced it over the deep wounds Harry's curse had made, muttering an incantation that sounded almost like a song. The flow of blood seemed to ease. Snape wiped the residue from Malfoy's face and repeated his spell. Now the wounds seemed to be knitting.
I just realized the only reason Snape appears because he's feeling the same thing, right? Aren't they attached?
What the Malfoy and Snape?
So
Yeah.
Oh boy.
possibly. So that's another fascinating question.
The
Does
way you froze, I was like, what?
does the unbreakable vow connect you with a person mentally, physically? Does it give you the same emotions
I thought
as
it
that
was
person?
physically, but maybe I was wrong.
Or is it only just the task that if you don't complete the task, the other person dies? So you have no connection emotionally.
I don't.
No, I mean it's a good point because he was right there.
Did he just appear out of nowhere?
I mean, it seems like whether it was some big old connection, like on a deep level through the unbreakable vow or through something Snape did since then, or Snape is just following Malfoy to keep an eye on him, or
That's true.
you know, using magic to listen through the walls, or has his own little Marauders map and he's just kind of tracking Malfoy because the success of Malfoy is whether or not Snape lives. So it makes sense that he'd keep him close by, because if Harry just killed Malfoy here, Snape would die, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty intense.
Yep. Oh,
Snape's
no,
life
Draco
was
would die.
No, but if Draco died though,
Oh, yeah.
Snape, because of the unbreakable vow, he would have broken his
yeah,
vow and
yep.
died.
So maybe the
So-
connection's not there, but he's always watching over Draco. He's next
Yep.
to him, like hiding in the shadows.
And
every
he
single
knows
time.
Draco is doing something dangerous too, like because of whatever Voldemort asked him. So I feel like he's keeping a pretty good eye on Draco just because lives are at stake.
Yeah.
His own. But either way, he was there quick.
And there's an interesting thing to note too here. Is Snape is he like a incredible healer? He seemed to have healed Dumbledore's hand,
Oh yeah,
and then
that's
he
true.
heals Draco of this insane spell that no one really has ever seen before.
And he kind of knew it too.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, this is
bizarre.
like dark magic.
Yeah, he
And
was
that's what
talking to
made
Harry
me
about
think
that, yeah.
it's something like Voldemort taught some of his peeps.
Yeah.
Leaning towards Voldemort being the Half-Blood Prince at the moment.
Mm.
But like, it just felt strange that Snape didn't freak out too much. He was like, this is dark stuff, Potter. Like, it just felt like he was kind of calm, but he didn't immediately say like, he didn't freak out in a way like, oh, you must have read something from Voldemort. You know, like, it just felt weird. Like, Snape treated it kind of casual.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe the spell isn't like invented like I thought it was. Maybe the Half-Blood Prince was just taking notes in his book while someone was telling him a story.
Yeah,
Or
and he's
she.
like, he was in a different class. Or she, if it was,
Could be
what's her
Eileen
name?
Prince.
Yeah, Eileen.
Prince.
Eileen Prince.
Well,
Possible.
possible. It's possible.
Eileen
If there's a
Prince.
possibility there. What?
I said I lean Prince.
Hi.
There you go. So funny.
This is when Harry goes to hide his book. He gasped. Despite his haste, his panic, his fear of what awaited him back in the bathroom, he could not help but be overawed by what he was looking at. He was standing in a room the size of a large cathedral, whose high windows were sending shafts of light down upon what looked like a city with towering walls, built of what Harry knew must be objects hidden by generations of Hogwarts inhabitants. There were alleyways and roads bordered by teetering piles of broken and damaged furniture, stowed away perhaps to hide the evidence of mishandling magic, or else hidden by castle-proud house elves. There were thousands and thousands of books, no doubt banned or graffiti or stolen. There were winged catapults and frayed frisbees, some still with enough life in them to hover half-heartedly over the mountains of other forbidden items. There were chip bottles of congealed potions, hats, jewels, cloaks. There was what looked like dragonelle shells, corked bottles whose contents still shimmered evilly, and several rustling swords with a blood-stained axe. This is the description of this little section of the room of requirement. So what do you guys think of this room?
Pretty cool.
I
I want to dig around.
Yeah,
And where's
I
that
know,
dragon, by the way?
Dragon shells. Where's
I'm
the
like,
dragon?
there must literally be a dragon in
I
this
know.
room, right? And it literally could have lived its whole life and died, and just he'll find a whole skeleton of a dragon in this thing.
Danny, I feel like you have a room of requirement like that.
Honestly, if I'm not careful, my house becomes a room of requirement like this. All my storage units, I get in there and I'm just like, there are all these gems. They're so great. Sorry, Jen. No, I'm getting better. I'm getting rid of all the stuff. I don't want to be a hoarder. But yeah, I find value in hidden treasures. And this room's full of them.
Yeah. This is
So,
where
could any of these be Horcruxes, Jen?
I don't know, Danny.
Well, you mentioned that there could be a Horcrux hidden in here. That'd be a good spot.
I said it would be a cool spot for Voldemort to, because
Yeah.
but the thing is doesn't the room change every time? Like it's different for every person. Or is it actually a room that just changes the look of it?
I mean, every time a Hogwarts student goes in front of it saying, I need a place to hide a something, an object, this specific room pops up. It doesn't change for every person. This room pops up where they go and they hide something in it and they leave. So there's all the Hogwarts students. This is like the room where they hide things.
It all looks the same.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, the ones that change, where like you need something.
But if they need something else, if they need the bathroom, like Dumbledore needed the bathroom, or the Dumbledore's army, their little thing.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like Voldemort, if he were to hide his Horcrux in his own room, not hiding it there.
Oh, like it could potentially be another room.
Like his
I got
own
you.
room that
Because
no
of-
one could ever enter.
Yeah, because he thinks he's unique and he wants to like hide in. Yeah, it's possible. He could have his own little private quarters. But this is where Harry hides the book, which is one of his most valuable objects. So Harry hurried forward into one of the many alleyways between all this hidden treasure. He turned right past an enormous stuffed troll. Is that stuffed troll a Horcrux? Ran onto the short way.
Everything now.
Ran on a short way. Took a left at a broken vanishing cabinet in which Montague had got lost the previous year. We just talked about that. Finally, pausing beside a large cupboard which seemed to have acid thrown at its blistered surface. He opened one of the cupboard's creaking doors. It had already been used as a hiding place for something in a cage that had long since died. Its skeleton had 5 legs. He stuffed the Half-Blood Prince book behind the cage and slammed the door. He paused for a moment, his heart thumping horribly. Gazing around at the clutter, would he be able to find his spot again? Amidst all this junk, seizing the chipped bust of an old, ugly warlock from on top of a nearby crate, he stood on the cupboard where the book was now hidden, perched the dusty old wing and a tarnished tiara on the statue's head to make it more distinctive, then sprinted back through the alleyway of the hidden junk as fast as he can go, back to the door, back out to the corridor where he slammed the door behind him and turned at once back into stone. This question is mainly for Danny. What is the coolest thing that you ever found?
That I ever found?
Yeah.
The heck? We could have cool stuff.
All right, good.
Danny's
Keep
the
thinking.
hoarder of the group.
I was gonna
so-
say I peek in
Great.
dumpsters when I walk by them sometimes because you never know.
I still remember you found some gems in some dumpsters. You went on
Some real gems. Sometimes I even feel bad because I was in a dumpster one time. I remember I couldn't even drive. I must have been like 14 or 15, and then it was in this like some townhomes, and then these guys come out of their house. It was like a husband and wife. And they like just see me with my friend Tyler, like heads out of a dumpster. They're like, "Oh, you guys finding good stuff in there? That's all my son's. He went off to college, whatever." And like that's why it's so awesome. We found an Xbox and a GameCube, endless like sports cards. But I was having a fun time today packing up for my Etsy shop some World War II stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love that because there's the history to it. So I loved there was a guy's military locker, like when he served in the military, he had his whole Foot Locker there, and it was all of his military stuff. So that whole thing was amazing to me because it was like his knife, and he made some custom things on it, and it had a little knife, and then you could tell it's been used, like heavy use. And then his whole uniform, all of his badges, and just all this really old stuff. I love that more than the things that have high value. But I also love opening a jewelry box and finding, hundreds of dollars worth of gold because that actually happened in the same unit.
This is the recipe for a hoarder. You like sentimental value, and you find sentimental value in everything.
Yep. But the good part about finding doing storage units, it's like the room of requirement. It's like you open up this unit and it's all the stuff that I'm like, well, I just paid $25 for a whole storage unit. But then I realize in the end, we all die and our stuff ends in units. And in the end, no matter what you collect, you think it's going to be worth something, and then your kids sell it for dirt cheap because they don't see the same value that you do. Like nothing really holds value. Everyone just thinks it is. So if you want to collect something, make sure it's something you actually care about. If it's going to be like a toy or whatever, Hesh trucks, it's not going to go up in value. Just play with it. Like have fun.
Take it out of the box.
So I think doing storage unit stuff has helped me get rid of my hoarding tendencies.
Nice, I love that.
Because I'm like, dust to dust. It all ends up
We just get
eventually in the
lessons
same
from
place.
John.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to
What to
absorb John's
do.
minimalist ways.
Yes.
No sentimental value about
Because once we
anything.
Jen,
combine
we're in
our
trouble,
stuff, we are in trouble.
No, not even about that. The Horcruxes. There are a lot of things in here that could be Horcruxes. That's a separate issue.
Whole thing.
All right, here's the thing.
Wait,
Jen.
hold on. They have to answer what they.
Oh,
What's the coolest object that you guys have
No,
found?
you only wanted Danny to answer.
Oh, he's a hoarder, but I want your guys' answer too if you have anything.
That I found?
Yeah, like find any like cool object or anything like that.
These are such random questions. I don't know. Do you have?
I found $20.
I was gonna say like money, maybe.
And I left
That's a
it.
great day.
That's always amazing.
No, I left it because I was like, it's not mine.
Oh, you're better than me.
I was
Straight
young.
money?
Yeah. I know. I
She's
didn't
so
know you.
pure-hearted.
I'd want shopping
Yeah.
immediately.
A blessing
Yeah.
from the Lord. No thanks, I'll keep walking.
I know. I'll never forget it.
Found?
That is funny.
So funny.
But the
I'll
next
think of
person
something
was
next week.
thankful that you left it, I'm sure.
Yeah. I like archaeological things. So one time I was in like a little dig site in the Middle East and I found this
Okay.
classic John classic and this like little Indiana Jones stuff. We were like looking for obvious like clay pottery and stuff like that, and I was with a group and one person in our group found almost a fully intact handle on a clay pot jar that was probably like 2,000 to 3,000 years old. It was unbelievable. The guy dated it really old. And then the best found that I had that week was I found this part of a clay pot that had writing on it, and that was like painted, and the paint still was there, and it was probably like the guy was like, it's probably like a Byzantine relic. It's probably like not a relic. It's probably like Byzantine era, which is like 1,500 years old.
Oh,
Oh
that
my
is
God.
It's
awesome.
pretty cool. Yeah.
And it had writing on it?
Yeah.
That's so great.
Is
Writing
this an
instrument is
elective
cool.
class or something? Like
It was. Yeah.
That's crazy.
John's Indiana Jones
Yeah.
in training.
That's cool.
I was just thinking this has no value at all, but going down the shore and hunting for shells
Oh, yeah, that is really fun.
Yeah.
gives me so much joy,
Yeah,
and
seriously.
finding a perfect intact
That is a
shell,
great
the
example,
fan
though, yeah.
shells, or a little twirly shell we used to call them.
Mm-hmm.
If
That was the
that's
best.
true,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
does feel good.
Hunting shells is like a fun
Oh
thing.
my gosh, I could do that for
Just
hours.
going to the beach and like looking for stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm into that.
So fun.
All right, Danny, now you can talk. Jen found, unless you found something better than $20. That is pretty great, but you left it. So
That's
Or what
not
about like
pretty great.
people's wallets or something?
Yeah.
You can go like return it to them. That's fun.
No, $20. That was what I found. Or I found nah.
Yeah, nice.
Nothing that exciting. Obviously, it's not sticking.
do you,
Yep.
here's just another note. Do you think that Voldemort would be so dumb to hide an object in this room? Maybe not dumb. Maybe
In
dumb is the
this
wrong
room?
word. In this room right here. There's a
You know
Horcrux
what?
in this room.
A little dumb, but also
A little
would-
smart.
a little smart. It would hide in things. But if he's gonna hide it somewhere, wouldn't Borgin and Burke's be
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
than this? But this is more magically hidden. Can you really trust Borgin and Burke or their ancestors?
Well, Voldemort was able to get an interview in Hogwarts. So on his way out, could he have done something?
Oof.
Or are they
And
escorted out?
Dumbledore's
Maybe he was escorted. I forget what.
office is up there too.
Was he
Yeah.
escorted out? It made it sound like something.
It seemed like it. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe
Oh,
that you
yeah.
get a little bit.
Hmm.
Unless he just like had free reign of something.
Or while he was in there with
Yeah.
Dumbledore. But Dumbledore picks up on everything, it seems.
I'm
I
gonna
don't know.
keep us moving because we still have a little bit.
The bloodstained axe, the tiara, the bust. Those
Right.
are my
He
top
wants
subjects.
to
All right, we're
move
gonna move
on.
on. Cool.
I was gonna say, just kidding. I'm like,
Danny's
you just
his
said-
top subject is a bloodstained axe because it has blood on it.
It's got blood. Whose blood?
Yeah.
Can we?
Oh
bring
my
back
gosh,
someone
your
who's got
Instagram post was great.
Oh, yeah.
That person sent me that. That was
It's
so
a real
funny.
job.
I love that. So
That was
much.
like actually real. It was not.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It's great.
Yep. Is that so
They
cool?
didn't stick
Edited.
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
sticker. They just
Yeah.
taped the sticker up for the picture. I think.
Yeah. But that's so cool.
But it's
though.
yeah, it was great. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
We all. This is a side note for anybody listening to. We just had our first really cool encounter where someone recognized us in real life. Where
Oh, yeah. If I get your name wrong, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure her name was Erin. I went through Starbucks And I gave her, she was the
So
sweetest
ridiculous.
person. And I gave her some bookmarks and I was like, do you like Harry Potter? And she was like, yeah. And then she's looking at them. I was like, my friends and I are doing this podcast. And she goes, no way. Are you Harry Potter and the First Time Readers? And I was like, you
That
know
is
the
the coolest
podcast?
thing ever.
That is
We both kind of geeked out on
ridiculous.
like both ends.
So
It's the
funny.
first
really
time
sweet.
that's
I
ever
love
happened.
that.
It
That's
was
like-
really cool.
Well,
That is
now
so
it's
funny.
a competition.
I know.
No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
I said now it's a
It's
competition.
everything's
Yeah,
a
I'm
competition,
kidding.
Jen. Come on.
I'm kidding. That was awesome. It's not happening to me.
Here's another line because I want to keep us moving. This is a funnier one. One by one, Snape extracted Harry's books and examined them. Finally, the only book left was the potions book, which he looked over very carefully before speaking. This is your copy of Advanced Potion Making, is it, Potter? Yes, said Harry, still breathing hard. You're quite sure of that, are you, Potter? Yes, said Harry, with a touch more defiance. This is the copy of Advanced Potion Making that you purged from Flourish and Blots. Yes, said Harry firmly. Then why, asked Snape, does it have the name Runel Waslib written on the front cover? Harry's heart missed a beat. That's my nickname, he said. Your nickname, repeated Snape. Yeah, that's what my friends call me, said Harry. I understand what a nickname is, said Snape. The cold black eyes were boring once more into Harry's. He tried not to look into them. Close your mind, but he had never learned how to do it properly. Do you know what I think, Potter? Said Snape very quietly. I think you are a liar and a cheat, and that you deserve detention with me every Saturday until the end of the term. What do you think, Potter? I don't agree, sir, said Harry, still refusing to look into Snape's eyes. Do you think this is a good punishment for him?
A good punishment.
Seems fair.
Because Harry almost killed
It
Draco.
seems merciful, to be honest.
It seems very
McGonagall said
merciful.
he deserves
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
So he should be thanking his lucky stars for this one.
Yeah.
Did this seem fair to you?
Yeah, but I thought it was funny that he didn't think of the name on the book. How everyone fills out your name. Here, trade books with me. And it didn't even cross his mind.
He didn't even attempt to spell on it or anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought he had the other book. Oh, no, he gave it back. Never mind.
Yeah. He
And I thought he would just swap with Ron. He didn't
I
have to
know,
go
right?
put it in the room. He could have just swapped and been like, you hold mine, I'll hold yours. Yay.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't have to go back to find it. So that felt a little weird, but
Yeah, that was a little strange.
it was maybe a backup plan. He was thinking ahead in case Snape came to do another check. But
But then we have this. Harry looked around. There was Ginny running toward him. She had a hard, blazing look in her face as she threw her arms around him. And without thinking, without planning it, without worrying about the fact that 50 people were watching, Harry kissed her. The creature in his chest roared in triumph. Harry grinned down at Ginny, gestured wordlessly out of the portrait hole. A long walk in the grounds seemed indicated, during which, if they had time, they might discuss the match. Love at last between Ginny
so
and Harry.
good.
What do you think of them?
I like it.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty good.
I feel like they work well together.
She gives it to him.
Whoa.
What a winning choice of words there.
It's getting late. We got to speed through this next
Woo!
chapter. All right, chapter 25, The Seer Overheard. Quick summary of The Seer Overheard. This is a shorter chapter too, so.
I don't know what you have, Kristen,
That's a
but
lot.
this is just the chapter where Harry finds out that Snape overheard the prophecy and he's the one who told Voldemort. But I'm missing the finer details, Kristen. What else is in here?
That's fine. I just I don't know.
Yeah, because I was so focused on that. I don't know how much
mean, that's
else
basically
was going on.
it.
But
Well, Trelawney.
Because I was gonna say he stumbles across Trelawney and that's how he finds out because she's just talking like she usually does.
oh yeah, and Gryffindor won Quidditch in the last one. Oh, and then this chapter ends with Dumbledore and
Yeah.
Harry together going off to
Yeah.
the cave.
Yeah.
The one that Voldemort attacked those kids back when he was a kid in. So
This chapter opens up. Harry found himself newly and happily impervious to gossip over the next few weeks. After all, it had made very nice change to be talked about because of something that was making him happier than he could remember being for a very long time, rather than because he had been involved in horrific scenes of dark magic. What's the happiest you guys have been in recent memory?
It's sad that I really need to think about this.
I thought he would say something really quick.
I was just thinking of more of how to word it because I was thinking of the most valuable thing I've ever come across. This one. And so getting engaged was, of course, very happy. But all the wedding planning, that sounds like a long time ago now, but it was only 3 months ago. Yeah. And now we're prepping my house. So that's really fun. So I think there've been a lot of happy moments in there. But even like just in general, I feel like the status quo has been raised to a happier place. Yeah. So it's
I love that.
Good. The happiest one was when I said yes to your date.
Yeah, that was good too.
It's just been going uphill since then.
Yep.
Yes again.
I love that when I was like,
again.
When was the last time you guys had a mental breakdown? We're like, last week, yesterday. We're like, what's the happiest moment?
So tough.
Describes my life.
What happens when you get 30, people?
No, so many happy moments.
Yeah.
It's hard to choose.
I don't know. We can keep going.
I'm gonna say
not a single one.
Okay, maybe not like there's. I have moments. I'm not like the happiest person in the world. Like I like talking about Harry Potter. That makes me happy. But moments that fill me up with joy that are like when I can cast my Patronus, are like when I'm like Friday nights when I go over my brothers and my niece runs over to me and my nephews run over to me and they give me a big hug. That makes me unbelievably happy. Mm-hmm. So like hanging out with them, my family, that kind of stuff makes me happy.
So sentimental.
Yeah.
Sentimental, but not the anything, objects. So what? I didn't even say anything for this whole thing.
Oh.
She was saying ditto to me.
No, I know it was ditto, and then we're like moving on. I'm like, yeah, I didn't.
Oh, I thought you said yours.
No, it doesn't matter.
Come on, guys.
When you said yes.
What?
Oh, that was you were saying.
She was saying
him?
That's what mine was.
Oh, I thought that was yours. Sorry.
Why are you sorry? It's fine.
Because I said I'm like moving on.
I'm like thinking of all the food I ate. I'm like, this one burger was so good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh, someone said this. I'm guessing John's answer is friends agreeing for the podcast. That was a great time when you guys agreed for the podcast. We were at that cidery and we were talking. That was one of my favorite memories in a long time. When we were at that cidery. We all went down together and we were geeking out about it because you guys were halfway through the first book. And I was ecstatic. And we hadn't. I don't think we had recorded yet.
We were keeping it a secret from.
Yeah, we were just about to really hammer down the recordings, and my heart was so giddy. Oh my gosh, guys! Thank you so much.
It's happening.
I know.
That's so funny.
Wait, so what's your happy moment?
No, it's the same. It's ditto.
Wait, what was it the other day? Somebody else asked us this question.
I don't know.
Oh, your nephew. I said it. And then you said, hey, don't steal my answer. So now's your chance to say it. And I accidentally stole it again.
Yep. No, when John was saying, I was like, it is so fun. You're so happy when like nieces and nephews are like, the things they say. 2.5-year-old just like saying the darndest things.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Yep.
So yeah, that too. So,
my little niece made me pretty happy today. I'm just in a mood.
She was so cute in that picture.
Moving on.
I know she was.
Ask the 8-Ball says, the happiest day of my life was the day before I was born. Things went downhill from there.
Oh, honey.
Come on. We're all together. We're reading Harry Potter. Can't get better than this. Come on.
That's a classic.
Could Hermione be right about Eileen Price? Prince Price.
You know what? She could be right.
I like the things she
I
was
don't
saying.
think so.
But who is Eileen Price again?
Prince.
What the heck?
We don't know. She was captain of the Gobstones Club.
What is that?
If you play the video game, you'd know.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this literally hasn't come up at all. I didn't even know if it was a real thing. And it came up here, and I was like, oh. And even in the video game, I don't really know what they are. They're just these things you can collect. I viewed them as a mix between marbles and Pokemon cards. a little bit of a game you play, but also a thing you can collect and trade, maybe. But they also are magical. So I am not really sure.
That is so random. Like, why would she think that? She's just looking for a name Prince and a female.
Yeah, it just came up.
It's the equivalent of Googling, but in the library, she's just
Yeah, it
looking
takes
for
a little
anything
longer.
that says Prince, and she found something.
Yeah.
So, hey, it's not bad.
I thought it was going to be Bellatrix or something, too.
And wait, did she say how long ago? Yellowed pages.
You thought it was
Interesting.
going to be Bellatrix?
Yeah.
Did she go to Hogwarts?
Interesting.
Interesting. Lestrange did.
Yeah.
Her hubby.
And maybe
Her hubby
that's
did,
not
yeah.
her name. Maybe that was her maiden name.
That's where they met.
Maybe
Maybe
that,
she went to
that
both
was her
ones.
half-blood
Or no.
name, and then she changed it so she could be pure blood feeling.
And could Eileen be anyone's mom? No, can't be Voldemort's mom.
Could
already
it
know
be anybody
her.
else's mom? Dumbledore's mom?
Karkaroff, if he went to Hogwarts.
We don't even know about that. You
Snape's
still think he's
mom.
alive?
Nah, not really. Not anymore. I haven't lost all hope, but every week we don't hear a reference to him, the likelihood goes down. So,
Right after this, Harry gets a note to go to the headmaster's office, and that's what he does. And this is one of the lines that we get on his way when he meets none other than Sybil Trelawney. The headmaster has intimated that he would prefer fewer visits from me, she said coldly. I'm not one to press my company upon those who do not value it. If Dumbledore chooses to ignore the warnings the cards show, her bony hand closed suddenly around Harry's wrist, again and again, no matter how I lay them out. And she pulled a card dramatically from underneath her shawls. The lightning struck tower, she whispered. Calamity. Disaster. Coming nearer all the time. Is she a kook, or what is she talking about here?
She keeps bringing up something that she's seeing in the future.
Yeah.
And I can't tell if Dumbledore is just over her and just like, we're keeping you safe here. Like, shh,
Yeah.
shh, be quiet.
I know.
Or he doesn't want to hear something, so he keeps dismissing her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe there's truth to it. I think I cheated a little bit.
Uh-oh.
I looked ahead.
what do you mean you looked
I just
at?
looked at the chapter names. That was it.
All the names of all the chapters?
Yep,
Jen, what
I
the?
did.
Oh, my word.
Oh, man. Oh, well. Okay.
Violation, Jen.
But I'm not saying anything. That's why
Yeah,
you're
so-
talking.
Oh, my
Do you think that
goodness.
she could be right about whatever it is, that there's calamity and disaster coming? And what would that calamity and disaster be? Or is she just, again, outside of her head and she's wrong?
I think she's right.
When has she ever been right?
She has been.
Twice.
Yeah, not
According to
that many
Dumbledore.
times. But I think she's right.
What about the
mostly,
third person getting up from the table? The last person. That was right, too.
13.
Kind
Whatever.
of. Yeah.
If 13 at a table, yeah, first
so,
person
like,
to rise.
there's a few.
It's true. But I got the impression
But she was kind of
that
wrong
was a
about that, too.
phrase.
Remember the first time that was mentioned at 13 at a table? Harry and Ron were the first two people to stand up.
But has anyone else died that was there at that table?
No, no one else died. No one else has died at the table, so that is. an
So we
interesting
just know
point,
that
so
Ron and Harry will die first.
it's either Ron or Harry.
Yeah, whoever gets up. I'd have to read that again. I forget how it was said, but I was left with the idea that that was a phrase that came up before Trelawney, and she just says it. It's like an old wives' tale. Happens to be true, and I take that as absolute fact. But I think the 7th book is going to be crazier than the 6th. So to say calamity is coming sounds like, yeah, probably. In theory, it should all kind of escalate.
Yep.
It feels like it is escalating. So I think she's right. But whether that was kind of just her getting lucky or something more, I don't know.
So this is the next thing that she says. That's a pretty insane thing. But I must confess, at first, I thought he seemed ill-disposed toward divination. And I remember I was starting to feel a little odd. I had not eaten much that day. But then, and now Harry was paying attention properly for the first time, for he knew what had happened then. Professor Trelawney had made the prophecy that had altered the course of his whole life, the prophecy about him and Voldemort. But then we were rudely interrupted by Severus Snape. Harry goes off. It was Snape who overheard the prophecy. It was Snape who had carried the news of the prophecy to Voldemort. Snape and Peter Pettigrew together had sent Voldemort hunting after Lily and James and their son. What do you think? What do you think about that reveal?
That is pretty intense.
Yep. I would be pretty annoyed like he was.
Why is Dumbledore okay with this? Like it's no big deal.
Because he was so remorseful. It's the worst thing he ever did.
I guess.
Why was
but-
he remorseful over that?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm confused.
don't
If
know.
he's remorseful, why did he say it? He did it, but then he felt really bad. Like, why do it then? Did something change after he did it? Did he not realize the impact? And remorseful, meaning like he actually didn't want James and Lily to die? Like, did he not even think that Harry was a thing? I don't know. There's too much we don't know, but it feels weird. He did it. Then he feels bad about it. Dumbledore believes him and says, yeah, no problem. Now I trust you.
But it's not like he knows who Voldemort is. So it's like he knew whatever he said wasn't going to go over well.
Yeah.
But I guess he said that he wasn't sure if who he was going to go after. And then when he knew that it was someone that Snape knew personally, it changed
I
things.
guess. Yeah, maybe.
I guess because he went to school with them. Even if it's your enemy at school, maybe you like know them personally, so you regret that. Like,
But then technically he didn't like them either. So.
I know. That's
Well,
true.
yeah, that's why I'm like.
But there is a point to it where, like, even though you don't like someone in high school, there's a difference between like that and murdering someone. You know?
Yeah.
Like when that happens, maybe he's like, "Oh my gosh, what am I doing? What am I getting myself into?" And that's when he backs out, and that's why Dumbledore trusts him. Maybe. You just
Which
don't
is
know.
the same dynamic that Harry had with Malfoy
Yeah, exactly.
a chapter ago, you know?
Yep.
Like, whoa, I really don't like Malfoy, and it was self-defense and whatever, but
Yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
mean to kill him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, then Harry would have regretted that, and it would have been the most remorseful thing ever, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Trying to understand it, but that's
Then
a
he
tough
could have
one.
split his soul.
Ooh.
Could Snape have
That
some
would be
Horcruxes out there?
Could Snape have some Horcruxes out there? Great question. This is what Dumbledore thinks about the whole thing, though. He says, Professor Snape made a terrible mistake. He was still in Lord Voldemort's employ on the night he heard the first half of Professor Trelawney's prophecy. Naturally, he hastened to tell his master what he had heard, for it concerned his master most deeply. But he did not know, he had no possible way of knowing, which boy Voldemort would hunt down from then onward, or that the parents he would destroy in his murderous quest were people that Professor Snape knew, that they were your mother and father. You have no idea of the remorse Professor Snape felt when he realized how Lord Voldemort had interpreted the prophecy, Harry. I believe it to be the greatest regret of his life and the reason that he returned. But he's a very good Occlumens, isn't he, sir? Said Harry, whose voice was shaking with the effort of keeping it steady. And isn't Voldemort convinced that Snape's on his side, even now, Professor? Professor, how can you be so sure Snape's on our side? Dumbledore did not speak for a moment. He looked as though he was trying to make up his mind about something. At last, he said, I am sure. I trust Severus Snape completely. Did he hesitate there? Does he actually trust him completely? Because it says he looked as though he was trying to make up his mind about something.
I think it was more to make up his mind to tell Harry certain details.
So do you think he's holding something
How
back?
idea. Yeah,
What?
I'm not sure.
I always ask you guys impossible questions. I'm sorry.
I just feel like Harry does not do well with partial information. So rather than Dumbledore trying to explain any of the specifics, he just said, I
Yeah.
trust him, period.
So maybe that's why he was
Because
debating.
maybe he was afraid if he says any more, Harry won't believe him and won't trust him and say, yeah, but what about this? Because every time Harry leaves, he always says that.
But why does he
Dumbledore is doing
trust
this,
him?
but what about this?
What is the reason for Dumbledore trusting Snape?
What could he have done to earn Dumbledore's trust
Saved his
after
life.
this? Save his life?
We just said that he was really
Yeah.
good at healing.
How could he do that without offending Voldemort.
Maybe he already made up his mind that he was gonna. Well,
Huh.
maybe Voldemort was dying or dead at this point. After he attacked Harry, he turned into nothing. Snape realized what he's done, went to Dumbledore.
Could he make an unbreakable vow with Dumbledore? Would Voldemort make everyone make an unbreakable vow with him?
Wasn't that what the Death Eater
be
thing
cruel.
is? No.
I'm like, because that seems like something you could trust, maybe. or can you make a loophole in it? Like you word it just right, that it sounds like you're promising something, but you're not. And I don't know.
Actually, maybe that's why Snape didn't care who the unbreakable vow, because he figured I can heal whatever.
So like he can heal
Happens.
through
You could-
unbreakable vows, maybe.
Yikes.
Interesting.
Or if Snape is really good at occlumency and legilimency, could he make somebody think that he did an unbreakable vow with them, even if he didn't?
Wow.
Because then that
That's like
person would trust
True
him
Inception.
completely,
Yeah.
even though he's not trustworthy and he's not bound by anything.
So you think he did that to who?
I don't know. I don't think of him as being better than Dumbledore at it.
I just feel like
don't know.
Dumbledore like gives people second chance and cares for people, but I feel like it's
To a
they
fault.
earn. Well, that's what Snape said,
Hmm.
but I feel like he earned it somehow. Like someone was dying or someone needed help, and you never thought Snape would be that person, but he actually came to the aid.
Mm-hmm.
And then he is always helping them heal. Like he could leave people. But I guess that's a cover though. Like if it is actually a cover, he wouldn't do that. I don't know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
that is one of his like faults that we talk about. He does give people the benefit of the doubt, it seems. But that's also, I mean, it's like the thing with like your greatest fault is your greatest strength. That's his greatest strength. But it also sometimes it's bit him right in the butt, you know? Like that he actually trusts. I don't know, trust isn't the right word. I don't know. It's tough to figure out Dumbledore, you know? But what the heck happened between them is interesting. With if it's an unbreakable vow, if it's like something happened between them that there's some kind of trust, or
Right.
maybe Dumbledore is just naive isn't the right word, but like over trusting of some people. I don't know. All right, some more stuff.
Because Dumbledore also just gets a little credit for Mundungus.
Maybe just don't say
I don't
that.
trust Mundungus.
Yeah, you don't trust Dung?
I trust him more than Harry does after pinning him against the wall and
sure.
stealing Sirius's silverware. But if we don't trust Mundungus, and he was doing something else sketchy. He was he in the Daily Prophet? Wait, is he in Azkaban? What am I remembering?
No, he's not in Azkaban.
It was like
but-
something funny that like he literally got caught doing a burglary or something.
No, he was like selling something that was like an illegal thing to sell or something like that.
I forget where that was. Was
Yeah.
that in the Prophet or is someone?
I think so.
Because just again, like Dumbledore, he's in the Order,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It is not like all Order members are perfect.
a wild card.
obviously.
Some other stuff real quick before we get into the finals. They're up to something, said Harry, and his hands curled into fists as he said it. Professor Trelawney was just in the room of requirement, trying to hide her sherry bottles. And she heard Malfoy whooping, celebrating. He's trying to mend something dangerous in there. And if you ask me, he's fixed it at last, and you're about to just walk out of school without enough, said Dumbledore. He said it quite calmly, and yet Harry fell silent at once. He knew that he had finally crossed some invisible line. Do you think that I have once left the school unprotected during my absences this year? I have not. Tonight, when I leave, there will be again additional protection in place. Please do not suggest that I do not take the safety of my students seriously, Harry. A little intense. But what did Draco just do?
If we believe that the whooping was Draco in the room of
Who else would
requirement,
it be?
I don't know. I thought maybe it could be more serious, like
The dragon in there whooping?
yeah, right. Well, Snape or
Okay.
Voldemort,
Yeah, I thought it was Voldemort.
a Death Eater, like something more intense. Again, the room of requirement seems like a weird thing.
Yeah.
Could there be flu networks, or is it a way around some of the defenses of Hogwarts? So again, my mind went other places potentially. I do think the straight read It's Draco. He's in there whooping.
And Harry says he mended something. What did he mend? If he mended anything? Is
That thing that was broken that he wanted Borgin and Burke
Okay.
or whatever to fix, maybe. But he couldn't get to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's scary because then maybe that is a thing that could be some kind of portal or some kind of like. It's two things. I don't know. There's so many theories
It's
out
two
there.
things, yeah.
Maybe the two things was just me thinking about the mirror. No, there was two
Oh, yeah.
things because he said he wanted Borgin or Burke to hold
on to
one,
something.
and he
Yeah.
was asking about fixing something else. And we assumed they were connected, maybe not directly, but something. It gave an impression of maybe a pair.
Yeah.
So what could he be mending? I don't know.
Not sure. But we'll figure out maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll figure out. We don't know if we're going to figure out yet. That could just be a cliffhanger for the whole series. Oh, okay. This is another intense line. This is when they kind of get past all the Draco stuff, and Harry and Dumbledore are having a discussion. If I tell you to hide, you will do so. Yes. If I tell you to flee, you will obey. Yes. If I tell you to leave me and save yourself, you will do as I tell you. Harry. They looked at each other for a moment. Yes, sir. Is this stuff actually going to happen when they go on this quest? So they're going to this cave, right? Is bad stuff going to happen there?
Yes.
There needs to be more drama.
Whoa.
I mean, we're doing a live read of the next chapter specifically, so there's probably a little bit of drama that's happening.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I think so. He checked 3 times. Harry, he's really making sure that Harry gets him here because he knows Harry doesn't want to listen. So why? And what will happen? I'm not feeling good about it, but I like that Dumbledore knows something's up because he's prepping Harry for like the danger, all right, like no matter what, we're going to face something intense.
Yeah.
And when we do, I don't want you second guessing me. So that's kind of good, but yeah, weird. And Harry's just, he doesn't trust Dumbledore. He pretends like he does.
Yeah,
Then,
he
like the
pretends
first
like
thing
he
he
does,
does
yeah.
is he leaves and then does something Dumbledore wouldn't have wanted.
Yeah.
And goes and he's like, oh yeah, quick, Ron, Hermione, go out of bed, break curfew, wander in the halls alone, and search for Malfoy. Like, oh, yikes.
But again, what he does through that is actually the most typical Harry thing ever. He gives his liquid luck away. He has a saving
which
people
was
complex.
very kind, and he
Yeah.
really wants them to succeed. His heart is in the right place,
Yeah.
but he just couldn't ignore it like Dumbledore is telling him to do.
Yep.
So that's why Dumbledore had to triple check. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because he goes, "No," said Hermione, as Ron unwrapped the tiny little bottle of golden potion, looking awestruck. "We don't want it. You take it. Who knows what you're going to be facing?" "I'll be fine. I'll be with Dumbledore," said Harry. "I want to know that you lot are okay. Don't look like that, Hermione. I'll see you later." It's a cute little moment. But here's the last line in this chapter. This is where we're leaving off until we do the live read. Harry turned. At once there was a horrible sensation that he was being squeezed through a thick rubber tube. He could not draw breath. Every part of him was being compressed, almost past endurance. And then, just when he thought he must suffocate, the invisible bands seemed to burst open. He was standing in cool darkness, breathing in lungfuls of fresh, salty air. What's going to happen in this cave? The next chapter is titled The Cave.
They find a Horcrux, but there are Death Eaters there defending it.
Or a monster.
Or just a booby trap of some kind. Yeah, a monster. Or
Cave monster.
The cave monster.
or maybe just something that notifies Voldemort that somebody's there, like a little just a bell, whatever it is, that then they can come to defend it, maybe, if that kind of thing exists. But it's not going to be smooth or easy. Or maybe just the Horcrux itself will be a battle, like to Dumbledore's hand. It's like a thing that tries to take you over. You have to like fight the thing somehow.
And then when they find it, do you think they're going to be able to destroy it? If it's a Horcrux, it could be something else completely, but they're going to try to find a Horcrux.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm trying to think of what we're waiting on. 2 Horcruxes more? No, more than that.
More, yeah.
So that would leave however many more for the next book.
So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could. They can't. How many could they destroy in one book? You know what I mean?
We'll see. Next time we're gonna do the live read. So here I want a few all the favorites and stuff like that. But one question I want before, just very quickly. Give me your one person of who you think the Half-Blood Prince is. Your final prediction before we go through these chapters of who the Half-Blood Prince is. It's a competition.
I
Jen.
would say. Do you want to answer first, Jen? I would say my prediction for the Half-Blood Prince is Snape. I think it's Snape because of the way it seemed like he was ready for the potions book. When he asked Harry to see his bag, that felt weird. Like, Harry knew a crazy curse, and his first thought was, I want to see your books.
Yeah, because he's occlumency.
So he saw like a thing in Harry's mind of a book, a bag, a something, maybe. But that, to me, as I read that, I thought, I wonder if Snape was the one writing those things in the book, and he then knew or thought the book is lost. That's where it is. Harry has my book. Like that kind of a thing, maybe. And because of the intensity of that spell, I kind of ruled out the people we like because I no longer could think of it as being Slughorn being like, oh, Harry, yeah, take this book. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And Slughorn keeps praising Harry when he does well. It felt authentic. And I couldn't think of it as being Dumbledore anymore because I don't think Dumbledore would plant that and be like, this is going to help Harry out this year. He needs it. So I had to start thinking it was darker. And it's between Voldemort and Snape, but the comments about the book bag and saving the potions book for last made me think it could be Snape. So I'm thinking Snape, Voldemort close second, Karkaroff somewhere down the list along with a few other randos like
Danny, I only asked for one. You have to
yeah,
give me
you're
one.
right. Snape.
Jen.
I know, I thought of him too. I have 3 also.
One.
Okay, you can give 3.
I'm allowed to.
You can get as much as you want.
I'm the captain now.
Yep.
I don't know. I liked Hermione's theory also. Maybe it could be Eileen, Prince, or Snape or Voldemort. Those are my 3. Or
Snape
Bellatrix.
Or Voldemort.
Bellatrix?
Maybe we'll learn more about Eileen Prince in the next book.
But she's
or
pure
Bellatrix.
Oh, because it literally could be Bellatrix. We don't know how old she is.
But I don't know half blood.
And she's married now. That could is she no, but Harry would know if Eileen Prince was Bellatrix.
I don't know.
But he wouldn't know if that was her mom. Interesting. Okay.
We have lots to stew on.
Yeah,
Lots to
so
stew
much.
on. All
That's a
right.
good thought.
Favorite character who wins the House Cup, hot tamale, and favorite moment. Let's go House Cup first. Who wins your House Cup award for these 3 chapters?
Harry and Dumbledore.
I mean, that's like who's in this chapter pretty much. So like, yeah, you kind of have to give it to them. Unless you're going to give it to Ginny.
No, she gets hot tamale, obviously.
Yeah, obvious.
I'm going to give it
obvious
to
one.
Harry, actually.
Me too.
Harry kissed her.
Wait,
Yeah,
time out.
initiate
Guys,
it.
House Cup first.
Sorry,
not
yeah,
hot
House
See,
tamale.
Cup.
it wasn't me this time.
I'll go controversial. Snape.
Whoa.
Snape.
Because he was the whatever reason he was there at the right time.
Yeah.
He saved Harry
That's a
He
from that
saved
guilt.
Harry. I was relieved when he was
Because
there.
Harry would not have been okay if he
Yep.
murdered Malfoy. That would have
Yeah.
been there would have been some major repercussions just
Oh,
in Harry's
yeah.
mindset.
And Malfoy wouldn't have been okay either.
Well, obviously. Bye-bye, Malfoy.
Oof. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
Wow.
giving it to Snape.
One thing
because
that I
of
like too in even the Snape healing is that when he was healing him, it describes it as if he was singing, which Danny mentioned the thing before that music, power or magic
Yeah.
beyond all.
But this is the first time
Wow.
we're
Here.
seeing it
Yeah.
in some kind of practical application. Something that sounded like a song.
Right?
I didn't even
Interesting.
register that.
Snape
That's a
was in
great.
the
You
choir.
convinced me. I'm giving it to Snape too. That's a great pick.
What?
Thanks.
I love that.
My. I was relieved when he walked in, but
So who's your pick?
Harry.
Harry and Dumbledore. All right, this couch against that couch. Who wins the hot tamale?
I always pick Jenny, and I'm sticking to it.
Going Harry too.
Yeah, Harry for me.
I know
He
he
initiated.
landed it.
Yeah, he like initiated the kiss and whatever, but she
Went with it.
definitely went with it, and she ran up to him and gave the hug.
Yeah.
So it was like
True,
definitely
true,
a
true,
combo
true.
platter, but I think it was a bigger step for Harry than it
Yeah.
was for her. You know, like he was putting himself out there a little bit more. He just was. It was like he didn't matter who was there, who was watching, or the situation or anything. He just went for it, and I was like, all right, respect. That's hot tamale energy right there.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I have to give it to Ginny
Whoa.
because
That's the first time I heard that come out of your mouth.
I know. Because she one thing that I like the parallels between who is the Ravenclaw seeker versus who was the Gryffindor seeker. It was Cho versus Ginny.
Yep.
Ginny just beat Cho out again. So I like the idea that she like beat her in sports and then she beat her to the guy
Twice
too.
in
so,
a day. Boom.
so she is the
There's her
hottest of
happy
hot
moment.
tamales in
She's
this
also
book.
just awesome at everything.
Yeah, she's so cool.
she could tone the sass down a little bit.
No, I love it.
Once it was directed at Hermione, I felt like that crossed the line a little for me. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
That's
Ginny.
why I
That
actually
was a
liked
little
it because
You
Hermione
liked it.
just
I was
wouldn't shut up about that point.
I liked it and I didn't because I was
Yeah,
like,
I
it was
was
a little
like,
harsh,
yeah.
but Hermione did need to be knocked down.
Yeah.
A little
I
bit.
forget what we were talking about.
It was they were at the table and I forget what it was, but
That's
she
okay.
jumped to Harry's defense, which we liked, but then something
Yeah.
they
With
were
the
eating a
Quidditch.
meal.
book.
She
It was
said, "Oh,
Quidditch
don't
related.
start acting as though you understand Quidditch.
Yeah.
You'll only embarrass
Yeah.
yourself."
You'll only
It
embarrass
was a little
yourself.
harsh.
I think she
but-
could have left the "you'll only
Yeah,
embarrass yourself" part, and it would have been just
Sometimes
as
you
potent,
just get
but
carried
not
away.
mean. Like I was like, but that's part of what we like about Ginny too. That she's a little bit like just says it how it is,
Yeah.
you know.
She's the youngest of all boys.
Yeah,
I know.
she's had to keep up with all them.
Cecilia also says Ron because of his tattoo, his pygmy puff tattoo.
All respect.
Ron is kind of a hot tamale here. I'm not gonna lie.
True.
All right, favorite moment.
I'm distracted thinking about Ron
I
and
like-
Hermione moments in each chapter.
Yeah.
Sorry, because stuff was happening. But anyways,
I like that Ron also gave the okay to Ginny and
oh
Harry.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
a great move.
and was like, just because I allow doesn't mean you have to be all over each other.
And Ginny's
And then
like,
Ginny goes
allow it.
Yeah.
Are you crazy?
Favorite moment. I just liked info, so I liked the memory, the
Oh,
pure
yes.
memory, and then Dumbledore being so proud of Harry for getting it, like somewhat shocked, but then, and then you could go into more depth instructions.
Yeah, the Horcrux chapter was awesome.
Hmm.
I think that was my favorite moment. It feels like just a funny moment because it was just Dumbledore and Harry talking it through basically after the memory, but I loved reading it.
It's just such a good moment. Yeah.
Yeah. The big information download.
It was hard to choose, but I loved when Harry walked through the room after the Quidditch match, and the room just erupted.
Oh, yeah.
And then leading into the kiss.
Yep.
I don't know. It was just so cool because it was like you had no idea.
Yeah.
Because it was just quiet.
Yep. Yeah, that honestly, that was a great moment.
Yeah, that was
for
one of my
just that like
favorites.
one that was just powerful.
Yeah.
Hits
It was
ya.
so like a blip, but I liked that.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments. Sports moments like that are just fun when you like beat a team and like everyone's just celebrating together. Great moments like that.
And he was worried everyone was going to be mad at him.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
And so then to come into that, it was such a relief.
I know.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, everyone's psyched. This is great.
I know. And then that walk after around the lake where they might talk about the match.
Might
if they
talk
want
about
to.
Quidditch.
That was great.
They didn't.
I think my favorite. Yeah. What were they doing? I think my favorite moment was that, but it was also the Horcrux chapter when Harry has the understanding about what Horcruxes are and what he has to actually do. Because I think you see such a turn in his character there.
Yep.
And one of my favorite lines in the series is he understood at last what Dumbledore had been trying to tell him. He thought, the difference between being dragged into the arena to face a battle to the death and walking into the arena with your head held high. And right there, Harry exemplifies, I think, what a perfect Gryffindor is. And I think that's why he was sorted into Gryffindor, because this is just true bravery right here. And I love it so much. So even though I gave my house cup to Snape, I'm going to give it to Harry and jump on your guys' couch as well. So
Nice.
Harry is like, I would give it to Harry every single time.
I know,
'cause I
you
really
gotta
love him
change
in
it
this
up.
book, but it's so good.
I'll stand alone.
Yeah. Any other last little tidbits, Danny?
No, I think that was it. If it was earlier, I could probably come up with something.
I know,
but
yeah,
for the
for
sake
sure.
of things,
Yeah.
you know.
We can talk about
covered
this
a
chapter
lot.
for a long time.
Oh,
but
so good.
anyway, thanks for joining us on our journey of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. Until our live read next.
Oh my goodness.
What if Malfoy has to get the last Horcrux?
Wait, on mic. Say that on mic.
What was that idea, Jen?
I'm half asleep, but I said, what if Malfoy is the one that has to get the last Horcrux for Voldemort?
Like Voldemort hasn't made the Horcrux yet, and Malfoy just needs to get the object,
Yes.
and then he is waiting for the right moment
To
kill the right person to get the final Horcrux.
Yes. Okay.
And she's done. Good night.
Interesting.
Still wonder what
theory.
the object is. I'm leaning Tiara. Well, wait, why would he be whooping? Oh man, that would stink. That means Harry literally found it and put it in a prominent place on top, and then Malfoy walks in and he's like, "There it is." Oh, that would stink.
He just found
Well,
it
only
quick.
just because I'm thinking jewels and precious metals mean something, but it also could be
Yeah.
the bust or the bloody axe.
Ew.
And then you could literally kill somebody with the Horcrux. Man.